Story 1.
I put a voice recorder in my wife's car, discovered her cheating, then her mom dropped a bombshell. I'm not someone who wants to witness everything falling apart and burning. When I noticed something was wrong with my wife, I didn't hesitate to talk to her about it. I asked her why she had stopped talking to me, hugging me, and being close to me. I even asked her why she seemed uncomfortable with my touch. It wasn't easy to get her to open up at first, but eventually she did. And what I heard broke my heart. She said she didn't feel like I was enough for her, that she had to do everything herself and couldn't rely on me. She felt like she had to make all the decisions and handle everything, including the kids. She even said that maybe she would be better off alone. Hearing all of this was a shock, but I didn't want to fight with her. I love her so much that I accepted what she said and told her I understood her pain. I promised her I would work on my behavior so she wouldn't have to stress about it. I just want to make things right because she means the world to me, but it's tough. You know, despite all that I do, I still have my own thoughts that keep me awake at night. That's actually why I ended up seeking support from this group, because the accusations my wife is making against me just aren't true, at least not from my perspective. I genuinely believe I'm a good husband who meets the norm. I work around 8 hours from home, and when I'm finished, I dedicate myself to taking care of my boys. I play with them, feed them, take the older one to swim lessons, and tuck them in at bedtime. I'll even wake up in the middle of the night if they need me. And it's not just about the kids. I also handle household chores, the dishes, groceries, and some cleaning. Although my wife thinks I'm not efficient enough at it, so she prefers to take over. I also take care of the car and other responsibilities related to our new house. I do all of this to make her life easier because I know how challenging it can be with 2 little boys. But the thing is, I'm not always the type of person who's constantly proactive. You know, there are those people who can't sit on the couch for 5 minutes without thinking about what to do next, what needs fixing, what business to start, what chores are left to do. My father-in-law is like that, but I'm not. I have my own unique way of doing things, and I believe that's okay too. At the end of the day, when the kids are finally asleep, work is checked off, and the house is in order, I look forward to unwinding with a movie or some video games. I've never been the entrepreneurial type who wants to start my own business. I thrive when I'm given tasks to excel at in my field. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Plenty of people are like me. I'm not chasing some flashy career or dreaming of swimming in money. I'm just an ordinary guy, and yeah, people tell me I'm good looking, who simply wants a happy, healthy family and a decent living. But things have been different lately. I've noticed my wife having issues with my approach, even though we've had years of blissful marriage. It all came to a head in December, and since then, I've been pushing myself to go against my natural personality. I've been doing extra groceries, fixing up things around the house, barely taking a moment to rest in the evenings. I thought she'd appreciate it, but her attitude towards me remained unchanged. Summoning courage, I confronted her with heightened emotions directly. I inquired whether she desired to salvage our marriage. Her response, an uncertain "I don't know," struck me forcefully. It seemed unfathomable. Was she genuinely unaware, or did she simply exhibit indifference? Despite my frustration, I pressed forward, questioning her willingness to engage in marriage counseling. Once again, she audaciously echoed that exasperating response, "I don't know." It became unbearable. Losing composure, I admonished her, emphasizing the inappropriateness of indecision at this crucial juncture. The potential consequence of our children having divorced parents loomed, and her lack of commitment was deemed unacceptable. She finally agreed to go to therapy after a lot of convincing. However, staying true to her usual behavior, she didn't show any interest in taking the lead. I had to do all the work in finding a therapist on my own. In one of our counseling sessions, she revealed some harsh truths that really hurt. She confessed that she only married me to impress her family and fit into their idea of a perfect, happy family with beautiful children. She admitted she was never truly in love with me, but was just captivated by the idea of marriage. To make matters worse, I later discovered she had met with her fellow priest behind my back to discuss our marriage, a betrayal that left me angry and hurt. Despite all this, I persevered and found a good therapist for us. We're now heading into our 3rd session, but it hasn't been smooth. We learned we have different ways of expressing love. I desire touch, while she prioritizes getting things done. It's been a constant struggle, and to add to it, she hasn't shown me any physical affection since we started counseling. No hugs, no touch, nothing. The therapist was surprised when she learned that my wife and I hadn't slept in the same room for 6 months. My wife tried to explain it, saying she shares the bed with the kids and there's no space for me. The therapist was straightforward, telling my wife it sets a terrible example for the kids, denying their own father access to the bedroom. She even suggested we should go to IKEA and buy a single bed to put next to the big one. So I did that. I bought the bed, set it up, and now I sleep there, but I still feel just as alone as before. My wife is on the far left, the boys are in the middle, and I'm stuck on the far right, feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. Since the beginning of this issue, my wife has kept changing her story. Now she claims she's depressed from being stuck at home with the kids all the time. She's saying she made those hurtful remarks because she was too emotional. But I would never think of saying anything like that to her, no matter how upset I am. So my wife went back to work, and we hired a nanny to take care of the kids. The only change I noticed is that we started talking more, but I'm not just her buddy, I'm her husband too, and there's no closeness between us. And it doesn't seem like it's going to improve anytime soon. No signs of it. She doesn't care about our marriage counseling sessions. I'm the one who has to keep setting them up. Update, my buddies conveyed their suspicions, asserting that my wife was indeed cheating on me. At first, I dismissed it as if it were some science fiction scenario akin to a plot from a movie. I couldn't fathom that my wife would engage in such behavior. However, today marked a shift. It has become an undeniable reality, and you won't believe how darn easy it was to catch her red-handed. I put a voice-activated recorder in our car, not even a GPS, just 3 days in, and she used the car to go to work, hit the gym, and bam. She called him, or he called her twice, not sure who made the first move, but I heard every word of their video conversation on the phone. Got all the evidence I need. Man, they were talking about seriously personal stuff, just like my wife and I used to when we first met 9 years ago. You know, all that attraction, inside jokes and stuff. I haven't had that with her in a long time. And get this, they were even planning a vacation together, and she wants to visit him in July. Can you believe that? She gave him a 2-year time frame to move back to our country. I mean, for real, I can't even wrap my head around it. And the way they were talking about his stuff and how she straight up said she's going to be his wife and leave me soon. They were even discussing their favorite positions, so you know they were real close. It's all right there. I just listened to an hour-long recording of that mess. I need to process it all. Got to meet with an attorney next week, no doubt about it. And let me tell you, thanks to my friend. If it wasn't for his suggestion, I would have never bought that voice recording device. Somebody could say that I'm an a-hole for placing it in the car and violating my wife's privacy, but I don't give a crap. This is what I should have done. I don't feel guilty at all. I can't stop thinking about my kids and what she's done. They've been up to something since last September, and it took me 2 whole months to notice any changes in her behavior. Next week, I'll be taking care of my old father in another city for the entire week. That means she won't be going to work and instead will be using my home office. And you know what that also means. She'll probably be talking to him in my office. So, should I place the recorder in there for the next week, or do you think I've got enough evidence already? Out of the blue, my wife tried calling her ex-boyfriend, not once, not twice, but 4 times in a row at 10 p.m. I found out because we used to have this app that saved both our numbers, so I could see all the incoming and outgoing calls. Why would my wife, who never mentioned her ex before, suddenly be calling him so persistently? It drove me insane. I couldn't let it go. I decided to check her iMessages on her laptop. Turns out, after calling him 4 times, she even sent him a message saying, "I'm not giving up until you actually answer and communicate with me in a respectful and civilized manner." I couldn't believe my eyes. I confronted her about it, and she straight up denied it. But I had the app and her outgoing calls right there in front of me. She couldn't worm her way out of it. She had no choice but to finally admit that she did try to reach her ex. I questioned her about the calls, and she said she was just returning his call. But when I asked if she had messaged him afterward, she denied it. So I pulled up the message she had sent him, and that's when she came up with an explanation. She claimed he had called her while drunk, spouting nonsense, and she had told him off and hung up. But later she felt guilty and tried calling him multiple times when he wouldn't pick up, and then sent the message. Turns out, he never replied. It was quite a convoluted story, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. I'm feeling uncertain about how to process this. It all occurred when she started distancing herself from me. Her perspective is that it's not strange or negative for her to have kept it from me. It doesn't hold much significance to her. The fact remains that any contact with an ex is a red flag for me. It's simply unacceptable. Is she being unfaithful? Our closeness has been lacking for the past 6 months, which is exactly when these calls took place. Update, I now have solid proof that our problems aren't what she's been telling everyone. The catch is, she doesn't know I'm aware of it. None of her family or friends know either. They all think we're just going through a temporary tough time. She comes from a Catholic family with 3 sisters, and she goes to church every Sunday. We live in a small town with a population of 177,000, and we recently built a house that's still not finished. I found out that she's planning to ask me to leave soon so she can have some time alone. Within 2 years, her previous boyfriend will move to our small town to live with her in our house along with our 2 young boys. She hopes people will understand and won't complain, saying that she needs a father figure for her kids. Interestingly, the previous boyfriend is actually her first boyfriend, and they were together for 5 years before she married me. We've been together for 9 years. Even though he lives abroad, he visits our country frequently. I won't let myself be manipulated in that way. I've taken the step of hiring an attorney and will be meeting with them soon. I have recordings that could potentially damage her reputation. Update, I had a conversation with my lawyer, and he gave me some insightful advice. It turns out that going all out and trying to cause trouble for her during the divorce wouldn't be the smartest move since we have kids and need to co-parent for the next 15-16 years. I need to be mindful of that. I also have a lot of respect for her family and don't want to involve them in the divorce as witnesses. Plus, winning custody of the kids isn't an option as they're young and need to be with their mother in the small town, an hour away from me in the capital city. Moreover, I wouldn't be allowed to sell our house because the kids need a decent place to live, and we don't have another option. The place they're staying at right now is owned by her dad, so it's just a temporary arrangement. It sucks, but that's the reality here in the Czech Republic, Europe. After our conversation, the lawyer sent her the divorce papers, set to be delivered right after Easter in the Czech Republic. Yesterday, I had a day off from work, so I was taking care of my 1-year-old son while she went to work in the capital city about an hour away. Meanwhile, my brother helped me pack up all my belongings from the apartment and load them into his car. To add to the chaos, the postman delivered the divorce papers, or rather, an invitation to mediation so we could try to divide everything in a civilized manner and have an amicable divorce. According to the papers, she's in a relationship with this guy, mentioning his first and last name, and that's apparently the reason for the divorce. But hey, at least the evidence I have will come in handy when it comes to child support and all that. It'll definitely be some leverage in my favor. As soon as she walked into the house, I confronted her and told her that I knew everything. I had solid proof, and I was deeply hurt by it. I insisted that she contact my lawyer. Then I handed her the divorce papers and left to visit her parents. Naturally, she started asking me what I knew and how I knew it, and she denied everything. Her parents were in shock, but they believed me. I had recorded the entire conversation, just like my attorney had advised. I started by asking them if they thought I was a good and caring husband and father. They gave their approval, which means she won't be able to use them as witnesses against me in court. Just like I mentioned earlier, they believed me and understood the gravity of what she has done and how it has devastated our lives. I expressed my gratitude for their understanding and headed to the capital city. In the meantime, I reached out to a friend who helped spread the news to her circle of friends. So guess what? 2 hours later, my awesome brother-in-law called me and said that she confessed that she cheated on me with the AP, but she conveniently forgot to mention any closeness with him. Classic. My brother-in-law also filled me in on how everyone's on my side and how she single-handedly destroyed our once perfect family. Then he goes on to tell me that everything can be saved because, hey, he's cheated on his wife too, but she forgave him, and now they're living happily ever after. Hilarious, right? Like that's going to make me feel better. Then, to add to the circus, her father gives me a call and starts spouting off about how it's all her fault and she's completely clueless about what she's done. He goes on about how the AP will never set foot in his house again, and how he's cutting off financial support from my soon-to-be ex-wife. He even tried calling the AP, but of course, the guy didn't bother picking up. And then, in a grand finale of absurdity, he tells me he thinks it can all be saved. But wait, there's more. Her sister sends me a text saying she's fully on my side, but again, she thinks it can be saved. Okay, it's good that they're on my side, but God, what the heck are they talking about? Are they all delusional or what? It's ridiculous. As if this whole mess could be magically fixed. It's infuriating. I really don't believe our relationship can be salvaged, and I'm quite certain about it. I'm worried that others might think I don't have concrete evidence, and that my reasons for leaving her aren't enough. They're not aware of the specifics of the evidence I have. All they know is that it's some sort of tape. I've got recordings of her actually saying stuff like, "So make sure you can last longer than 3 seconds when I come to visit you in Brussels. I'm really curious if your dad's Johnson is as big as yours. I'll go up to that woman and ask her how long your brother's Johnson is, and I'll let her know how big yours is. Oh, I love you so much." Well, I'm finally going to leave my husband. About time. Do me a favor, record yourself and send me a video. I want to see what I'm missing. Just showing you a glimpse of what your sad life without me will look like. Giving you a generous 2 years to figure out how to move back here. Update, as predicted by my friends, my ex is making a comeback. After receiving an earful from her family, she's been sending me texts filled with apologies, acknowledging that she had no clue about her actions, expressing how unbearable life would be without me, and sincerely apologizing for everything she's done. She even talks about eagerly awaiting my grand comeback with the kids. However, it all seems like empty words and meaningless chatter to me. My lawyer finally laid out the divorce terms I want. and now we're waiting for her lawyer's response. But in the meantime, my mother-in-law bombarded my phone with texts, sending Christian links about forgiveness. She thinks my wife has been possessed by an evil spirit. Adding to the drama, her sister blamed me, saying I'm the one ruining the marriage for being selfish. Now, my wife is all teary-eyed and apologetic, wishing she could turn back time. Suddenly, I'm the selfish villain destroying the marriage by divorcing her. Yeah, it's all on me now, like I'm the bad guy for wanting out. I sensed this shift coming where her family would turn against me, but it's still a shock. For a brief moment, I felt guilty today, like it's all my fault. They know how to sway me. But you know what? It's tough, but I'm not changing my mind. The divorce is happening no matter what. In the Czech Republic, kids as young as ours usually stay with their mother after a divorce, so I won't have them with me all the time, living an hour away in a small town with their kindergarten and nursery. A 50-50 split isn't feasible. I'll be an every other weekend dad with some additional access whenever I want. It's sad and painful, but it is what it is. I've been toying with this crazy idea of suggesting terms to get back together, not because I still love her, but for the kids. It wouldn't be a real marriage, just a partnership with separate finances. She'd have to move to the capital city, and I'd insist on GPS in her car and checking her phone every day. In return, I get to go on dates with random girls for 7 months, maybe even cheat during the relationship without telling her. No marriage, no big deal. It's just an idea, nothing serious, and I probably won't go through with it. I'm just desperate to silence the family accusing me of abandoning the kids. What do you think, crazy, right? But I don't have any other bright ideas at the moment. Update, I'm staying at my parents' place, crashing on their living room couch. The dining table has become my makeshift office and entertainment center, with my clothes scattered around. I work from home for about 8 hours a day, and then help my elderly parents, age 90 and 82, with chores, groceries, and driving to doctor appointments. To distract myself from negative thoughts, I hit the gym or catch a movie at the cinema. I get to see my kids every weekend, with my ex dropping them off, and I drive them back. Just to clarify, I did a paternity test confirming that the boys are indeed mine. No confusion there, at least. The whole situation with divorce terms is currently a mess, and it's tough to predict how it will unfold. Crashing at my parents' place leaves me with no other option as a dad of 2 and a grown adult, so I'm asking for a decent amount from my wife, and I want her to take over the mortgage for the house. She's agreed to the mortgage takeover, but is offering only a third of the money I requested, justifying it by the amount I put into building the house. It's honestly messy because I didn't cause this situation, and I'm not at fault. Still, I need a place to live, and 1/3 of the amount won't be enough for buying a flat. The back and forth between our lawyers continues. She's offering a small amount because she wants to keep the house, but I found out she might be forced to sell it. Honestly, that's what she should have done from the beginning. It'll be tough for her to manage the mortgage payments and pay me as well. We'll see how it all pans out. Regarding child support, she's asking for way more than reasonable, and we still need to come to an agreement on that. Additionally, she insists I should be the one picking up the kids from the small town and driving them back at the end of the weekend. In my opinion, it should be the other way around. She should be dropping them off, and I should be driving them back. She's the one responsible for all of this, but at the same time, she's ready to argue about the divorce terms. It's frustrating, to say the least. My wife attempted to convince me that she's remorseful and regrets what she's done. She claimed to have ended things with her affair partner, sought an exorcist, confessed all the details of the affair, and left it in God's hands. I couldn't help but laugh, and told her I don't care about her priest. She should be confessing to me. I gave her a chance to come clean about how many times she had been close with him. She denied it. Then I brought up the party she had with her work friends in November, questioning why she rented an Airbnb instead of staying with a friend. She went numb, asking me why I keep torturing myself. I explained that if she truly felt remorseful, she wouldn't keep lying 2 months after I left her. It was clear she wasn't being honest. I explained that for me, closeness over video chat is as significant, and I know she had it with him. She couldn't even keep track of how many times she had done it with the affair partner. Then I confronted her about how she envisions us getting back together, pointing out how she would start a conversation with me and then lie in the very next moment. I asked her if she was aware that I would be checking her phone every day and what she thought about that. She snapped back, saying, "That's not trust, that's just treating me like garbage." Right at that moment, our son interrupted, and the conversation was wrapping up. I added, "Don't forget, it's not just me you cheated on, but also our 2 beloved boys." It devastated her, and she started yelling that I better not say anything like that again in front of our kids. It's ironic, you know. Her sister spilled the beans on how my wife puts on a show of suffering and crying every day because of this mess. She's a real two-faced person, acting all sad in front of the family but still lying to my face. She had the nerve to say that she could be with the affair partner if she wanted, and her family wouldn't do a thing about it. As if I should be grateful that she ended it with him, and now she's in control of not being with him. I mean, seriously. Update. After going back and forth with our lawyers, we've come to an agreement, and the divorce will be finalized soon. She's taking the unfinished house, and the mortgage is now solely her responsibility. I want to clarify that the house is for the kids, and I don't want anyone accusing me of selling it out of revenge for her infidelity later on. Plus, I don't want to live in her small hometown, which is an hour away from the capital city where I am now. However, I am getting back the amount I invested in the house, and it's actually a decent sum. The child support amount is reasonable, and we've agreed that she'll drop the kids off at my place in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just have to drive them back afterward. But honestly, only seeing my kids on weekends isn't enough for me. It hurts a lot, and I can barely handle it at times. I can't bear the thought of my 1- and 3-year-old boys growing up without a father because of their mother's behavior. I wish I could have them with me, but unfortunately the law in the Czech Republic doesn't allow it. I might need to start driving there in the middle of the week, or find another way to make it work and survive. As for her, she keeps reaching out, saying she still loves me and wishes she could undo the past. She claims to be suffering every day because of what she's done. She even softened to the point where she told me she doesn't mind if I check her phone, and it wouldn't make her feel bad anymore. She apologized to my parents and seemed genuinely remorseful. She's willing to do whatever it takes to make things right now. You won't believe what I found out about her affair partner. According to our mutual friends, the guy actually dumped her. Can you believe it? Apparently, he has a whole family with a kid in Brussels and didn't want to risk getting caught up in this messy situation. Turns out it was all just a game for him, and he played my wife like a fiddle. I'm moving on with my life, and I won't let her toxic behavior drag me down. The divorce is happening, and there's no going back. Good riddance to the cheater. I've got better things to focus on and a brighter future ahead of me. Life goes on, and I'm not wasting any more time looking back at the mess she created. It's time for a fresh start, and I'm ready to embrace it with open arms.
Story 2.
My wife wanted an open marriage, but instead I caught her cheating and wrecked her and her best friend in the act. I'm a 35-year-old guy, and I've been married to Ellie, who's 34, for 5 years. We're just an ordinary couple who work during the week and like to unwind on the weekends. But things have been changing over the past 3 months. One Sunday, while we were relaxing together, Ellie surprised me by showing me pictures of her friends and asking me to rate them. I was a bit shocked at first, but she said it was all in good fun, so I went along with it. I made it clear that I didn't mean anything by it, and she reassured me. During the game, I ended up giving the highest rating to her friend Lily, who's 33. Lily used to be Ellie's gym partner before they became friends, and we've all hung out together. Then, out of nowhere, Ellie asked me if I would sleep with Lily if I had the chance. I was taken aback and reminded her that I had said it was all just for fun. I know how things can get blown out of proportion sometimes. Ellie assured me she wasn't jealous and said that if I found Lily attractive, I could explore that. It left me stunned. I made it clear that I didn't find Lily attractive, she just happened to be better looking than most of Ellie's other friends. I know it sounds shallow, but it was all part of the game. Ellie kept insisting for the next few days that I should have a casual encounter with Lily. She believed that if I had even the slightest attraction to her, it was better to satisfy it openly rather than cheat behind her back. I told her I had no intention of sleeping with Lily and that I had never seen her that way, but she didn't seem to believe me. A few days later, we were at a house party at Lily and Joshua's place, with just the 4 of us, my wife, Joshua, Lily, and I. We got a bit bored with the games, so we decided to watch a movie. I don't know whose idea it was to watch 2+2, but that's what we ended up watching. For those who haven't seen it, it's about couples swapping partners to add excitement to their relationships. After the movie and a bit of alcohol, we all looked at each other, wondering if we should do something similar. Thankfully, nothing happened, and we all burst into laughter. I almost forgot about that incident once Monday came around, but my wife didn't feel the same way. A few days into the week, while we were having a casual dinner table conversation, she brought up our experience from that night. She hinted that trying couple swapping might be exciting. I chuckled, thinking she was joking. My laughter turned to shock when she said she was serious. I asked if she had someone specific in mind for the couple swap, and she mentioned Joshua and Lily. I looked at her in disbelief and told her she couldn't be serious about this. I declined the idea, explaining that it would harm both our families. She nodded and admitted she wasn't that serious either, but the movie had sparked the idea, and she thought it would pass. I acknowledged it and moved on. However, as time went on, she continued to suggest we spice up our marriage. It's understandable that after 7 years together, the excitement in a relationship can dwindle, but that's part of marriage. You trade thrill for deeper feelings like stability, love, and care. I straightforwardly asked her if she was open to the idea of having a non-exclusive relationship. She flatly declined, stating that she suggested it only to strengthen our connection and nothing more. I reassured her of my love and my desire to be only with her. Time passed, but Ellie remained firm in her stance. She constantly dropped subtle hints that I should have closeness with Lily. One evening, Ellie returned from the gym with excitement. She revealed that she had talked to Lily about my interest. To my surprise, Lily and Joshua were also considering exploring their own sex life. I was taken aback. I inquired why she had discussed this with Lily. She explained that it was common for women to talk about such matters with their friends. Personally, I'm more old-fashioned. I wouldn't discuss such things with my male friends. While I might have mentioned it casually in the past, I had never gone into detail, especially regarding my wife. She went on to tell Lily that I found her attractive, and to my amusement, Lily blushed. Ellie seemed quite pleased with herself. I shrugged it off, saying it's normal for anyone to blush when they learn someone finds them attractive. But Ellie suggested that perhaps Lily was also interested in being close with me. To be honest, given how persistent she was, I had a feeling that something was up, so I decided to investigate her phone. I checked her messages and social media accounts, but everything looked clean except for some spam messages from an unknown person. I couldn't help but feel guilty for doubting her. Ellie is known for her cheerful and candid personality. She never holds back, and that's one of the things I love about her. I had been treating her poorly ever since she started pushing me to have closeness with Lily. After confirming that her phone was clean, I couldn't help but despise myself for being unkind to her. I thought she loved me so much that she was willing to let me be with someone else. I felt truly fortunate. Over the following month, we regularly hung out with Joshua and Lily, whether for drinks, dinner, or gatherings at our homes and elsewhere. It was all pretty standard. However, something unusual was happening. I found myself developing a strong attraction to Lily, and there were several reasons for that. Whenever we were together, Ellie would playfully tease me, and sometimes Joshua joined in on the teasing, while Lily blushed and maintained intense eye contact. Honestly, who wouldn't feel a bit fluttery in such a situation? But every time this topic came up, I made it crystal clear that I had no intention of getting involved with Lily. Literally, I'm writing this because I find myself in a challenging situation. We have a long weekend coming up next week due to a Friday bank holiday. My wife and Lily had already made plans for all of us to have a short getaway at a beach resort. We've taken similar trips with Joshua and Lily before, but this time feels different. My wife Ellie is insisting that I have sex with Lily during this vacation. I firmly declined, but she argues that we can always back off if things become uncomfortable. I asked Ellie what would happen if she feels hurt or possessive about it, and she responded that we won't truly understand ourselves until we give it a try. I'm feeling conflicted. I'd be dishonest if I said I wasn't intrigued, but I'm equally anxious. I'm worried that this could harm our marriage, but my wife believes it will strengthen our bond. She claims it's more common than I realize, even though people rarely discuss it openly. I'm unsure about how this whole thing works, so I'm seeking advice from individuals who have ventured into this territory and their experiences. Is it truly a good idea to involve a third person to spice up our relationship? Update: hey folks, guess what? You were absolutely right. She was indeed cheating on me. After receiving some solid advice from a few of you, I made a decision to go along with it and see where it would lead. Now, I definitely didn't want to have sex with Lily, but I put on a facade in front of Ellie, pretending I was open to giving it a shot. I wanted to find out what would happen once I agreed. Ellie was overjoyed that I had finally said yes. On the planned weekend, all four of us drove to a resort that was about 60 miles away. During the journey, while Ellie and Joshua were enjoying the beautiful scenery, I couldn't help but notice that Lily seemed distant and nervous for most of the trip. I wasn't feeling great either, but I was doing my best to pretend otherwise. I didn't have any concrete proof of wrongdoing, it was just a gut feeling. We arrived at the resort on Friday afternoon. The plan was to soak up the sun until evening, attend a party organized by the resort, and later explore our most desires. In short, everything was set up for Lily and me to get together. After freshening up, we had a sumptuous lunch and spent the rest of the afternoon lounging in the sun. I tried to have a private conversation with Lily, but she didn't acknowledge any discomfort. Instead, she smirked and said she was looking forward to the night. The party got pretty wild, but I made an effort to stay composed, anticipating the next step. Sensing my unease and alertness, Joshua reassured me, claiming everything was fine and that Lily just wanted to have a good time with me. She was attracted to my physique. Now that I know the truth, I'm disgusted by his actions. I had no idea what time it was when we left the party, and suddenly I found myself in a room with Lily. We both sat there, feeling awkward, and I couldn't tell how much time passed. She finally broke the silence and asked how we should proceed. I questioned whether we really needed to do this. She gave me a puzzled look. I then asked if she genuinely wanted to be close with me. She confessed to having a small crush on me, but had never thought about being close until her husband Joshua put the idea in her head. I sensed something was off, so I asked her if she truly desired to be with me. To my astonishment, I discovered that she had been manipulated in a similar way as I had been. It all began with Ellie sharing the game where I rated Lily the highest. Ellie also mentioned to Lily that we were looking for ways to add excitement to our marriage. On the same day, Joshua came home and expressed how lucky he felt to have such an attractive wife that even I desired. Lily believed I had told Joshua about all of this, but it wasn't me. It was, in fact, Ellie who had spilled the beans. Or perhaps it was their plan all along. Since then, Joshua had been implanting this idea in Lily's mind. He asked her if she would be interested in having sex with me. She refused multiple times, but he insisted that it would spice up and strengthen their relationship. Lily admitted she found my physique appealing, but not to the extent of wanting to have sex. I made it clear that I never had any intention of it. I shared my side of the story, and she was shocked because all she knew until then was that I desired her. At that point, we both realized it was a scheme orchestrated by them. Lily confronted Joshua, asking if he and Ellie planned to do something similar. He denied it, stating he wanted Lily to experience it first, and if things went well, he'd consider it. I distinctly remember not talking to Ellie because I had no desire to be part of this game. I told her I suspected Ellie of cheating when she pushed for the hookup and checked her phone, but it was clean. We decided it was time to find out the truth. I wanted to confront them right away, but Lily insisted on catching them in the act to expose them. So, on the night of our supposed hookup, we planned to catch Ellie and Joshua outside. We knew they wouldn't risk anything at that point because we could back out and leave. When we went outside, we found them watching something on an iPad. They were sitting close. We told them we changed our minds and didn't want to go through with it. They looked disappointed and asked why. I explained it didn't feel right, and they couldn't come up with much to say. I also said I had a sudden client meeting the next day, so we had to leave early. I suggested Ellie continue the vacation with Lily and Joshua, but none of them wanted to stay longer. We drove home the next morning. The four of us remained mostly silent on the way back home. Once we arrived, I changed and then left the house. I decided to drive to a coffee shop a bit farther away. About an hour after I left, Lily called to inform me that Joshua had also left the house, citing some urgent work. We both knew what that urgent work entailed. Lily mentioned that she had asked another friend to tail Joshua and would keep me posted on their whereabouts. As expected, they were found at my house. Before I left, I had told Lily I'd return home late in the evening, and they couldn't let this opportunity slip by. I hurriedly drove back to pick up Lily, my anger mounting as I headed home with the intention of catching them in the act. I used my key to unlock the apartment, and there they were, lying naked. Lily quickly took photos of them while they struggled to cover themselves up. Without hesitation, I stormed into the room, tossed Ellie's belongings outside the apartment, and demanded that she leave immediately. They both pleaded with us to hear them out. Joshua kept insisting that they were merely experimenting, similar to what we had done the previous night. I grabbed Joshua by the collar and confronted him, demanding to know when he started sleeping with my wife. Ellie tried to intervene, but I pushed her away. He claimed it was their first time exploring this sort of relationship. My anger intensified, and I tightened my grip on him, grinding my teeth as I pressed for a confession. I fixed Ellie with a furious gaze and told her I didn't mind going to jail for dealing with this parasite. I made it clear that either one of them confessed the truth, or I would deal with Joshua myself. Ellie, sobbing, eventually agreed and pleaded with me to stop. They finally confessed that they had been having an affair for over a year. Although they had been spotted together by a couple of my friends and one of Lily's, luckily for them, none had informed us. However, Joshua and Ellie lived in fear of being exposed eventually, so they devised a plan to involve us in a couple's swap and legitimize their cheating. I asked her how come her phone was clean when I checked it. She sobbed and admitted that they used to communicate only through emails, which she used to sign in only when required. They didn't chat often, and used that email to communicate regarding the time and location of their meetups. It was just a cold physical relationship between Ellie and Joshua. Lily left the house after hearing everything. Joshua followed her. I asked Ellie to leave the house immediately. She tried to hug me, sobbing and pleading with me. I made it clear that reconciliation is not on the table. She tried to fool me. I couldn't let her run over me. She only left our house when I threatened to involve her parents. I messaged Lily, asking her to send me the pictures she had taken of Ellie and Joshua. I forwarded those photos to Ellie's sister and explained everything to her. Ellie's sister confirmed that Ellie hadn't gone to her parents' house. After about a week, I emailed Ellie the divorce papers. Since I didn't know her current location, I had the lawyer send the physical copy to her parents' house. They called me in a state of panic. I included Ellie's sister on the call and asked her to share all the details. Following the email with the divorce papers, Ellie began sending me pleas. She had previously sent messages seeking reconciliation, but the frequency of her messages increased after receiving the email. Meanwhile, Lily decided to involve her parents in the situation. Lily's father was a businessman, and Joshua managed one of his business units. So when the truth came out, Joshua lost his job, and Lily's father used his connections to hinder Joshua's prospects in his field. It's been a month since the day everything came to light. My divorce proceedings are ongoing, with Ellie contesting it and demanding a share of my house. I'm deeply hurt by the betrayal and the way they attempted to drag us into their deceitful game. I'll provide updates if there are any further developments, but if not, consider this the final update. Update. I know some of you might have expected Lily and me to get together, but that didn't happen. As I mentioned earlier, neither Lily nor I wanted that hookup. We were both manipulated into it, but thankfully we managed to escape at the last moment. My divorce has been settled, and Ellie didn't get a dime. My lawyer argued that if she claimed a share of the property, we would also revisit the divorce terms and ask for alimony due to the emotional distress. Let me tell you, if you pay your lawyers well, they can negotiate for some pretty favorable outcomes. She eventually gave up and signed papers. I can't recall if I mentioned this before, but Joshua was working at his father-in-law's company, and with these revelations he was shown the door. He struggled to find a decent paying job in his field. After leaving my house, Ellie rented a rather shabby apartment and offered Joshua to stay with her, but he declined, fearing further repercussions from his father-in-law and admitting he never loved her. Ellie had been living under the illusion that Joshua loved her, but that wasn't the case. Joshua made it clear that it was all for fun with no emotional attachment, just as they had initially agreed. These revelations came to light during Lily's divorce proceedings, where Joshua confessed that he had been manipulated by Ellie and his true affections lay with Lily. He pleaded with Lily and her father for another chance, but they rebuffed him and insisted on the divorce. I must admit, seeing my ex-wife exposed and humiliated in court didn't hurt one bit. It felt like justice served hot, just as she deserved. She was abandoned by everyone she knew, her husband, her lover, her friend, and her family. Her parents and siblings turned their backs on her. I'm not sure about her current job status, but news like this tends to spread like wildfire. I briefly considered sharing those incriminating photos with some of her colleagues, but I decided against it. As for her current situation, I can't say for sure, but I doubt she can maintain her previous lifestyle on her current income. She risked our stable relationship for a fleeting thrill and ended up getting what she deserved. I've started counseling to help me cope. I was grappling with disturbing thoughts about the night Ellie had planned for my hookup. Therapy is slowly helping me move forward, but I think it will take some more time to completely rid myself of her memory. My friends suggest I should start meeting other women, but I don't think I'm quite ready to dive into the dating scene just yet. Alright, that was a fun story. Now let's move on to another exciting one. Stay tuned, and let's dive in. Story 2. I'm not proud of my actions, and I do believe that karma will catch up with me someday. I'm ready to face the consequences. It's embarrassing for someone like me, who's somewhat successful, to admit to such petty behavior. I'm 26 years old. I had an amazing friend of 2 years who eventually asked me out, and we started dating. Let's call him Jaden. We connected on a deep emotional level, and there was something about him that made me fall in love. We maintained a long-distance relationship for a year, and it felt incredibly serious to me. Jaden is the type of guy who just goes with the flow of life. Some might call it laid back. It became routine for me to assist him financially, and I did it willingly. I covered his mechanic bills once and bought groceries for his family several times because they were going through a tough time. He always appeared to live without a care in the world. I playfully asked him once, "What would you do if I didn't pay for your food?" He'd respond, "Eat less or maybe nothing at all," while shrugging. Despite living 3 hours apart, everything seemed fine and we visited each other frequently. But then things took a turn. I learned from his sister that he had been communicating with other women while we were in a relationship. I confronted him, but Jaden denied it and refused to take responsibility. He claimed that I was the only one on his mind and that his sister didn't know what she was talking about. I believed him because of my love for him. However, 3 weeks ago, a mutual friend revealed that he had been seeing another woman in his town and having sex with her. When I confronted him about this, he shifted the blame to me, saying, "You know it's hard for me to control myself and you've been neglecting me. You should understand that the distance is tough on me." This wasn't accurate. During our time apart, I visited him every other weekend when I could afford it, and we communicated daily. He also accused me of not wanting him to live with me, which was true, to be honest, but my reason was that I didn't want to support a grown man and pay his bills. I felt devastated, especially when Jaden, my partner, told me he loved me and was willing to do anything to make our relationship work, only to completely cut off contact the very next day. I confided in my friends, and they informed me that the girl he had gotten involved with was just an easygoing woman who had been around town for a while. To be honest, this hurt me even more. Let's call her Destiny, it seems quite fitting. They also revealed that he had started seeing her the day after our conversation, maybe even before. I stood by Jaden during his toughest moments, the lowest point in his life, only for him to cheat on me with the least reputable woman in town, repeatedly lie about it, and give me false hope like I'm a gullible fool. Then he vanished without explanation after seeking cheap thrills. During that time, I had to go through the humiliation of scheduling a gynecologist appointment for an STD check. Why should I blame myself? I didn't betray anyone. 2 weeks ago, while still dealing with my heartbreak, I reactivated my Facebook account and spent hours browsing through profiles of my ex and his new love interest. Deep down, I knew it wasn't healthy, but I couldn't resist. Instead of focusing on their flirtatious messages, I fixated on her profile. I scrolled through months of cringeworthy selfies taken in a grimy, dimly lit bathroom with barely any clothing, the kind even someone with loose morals might feel embarrassed about. Then I did something I'm not proud of. Please don't judge me. I was in a bad place. I created a fake profile of an attractive man who used to attend her school. I quickly befriended her friends, posted fake updates, and added her as a friend. All of this happened in less than a day. It's surprising how many people will accept friend requests on Facebook based solely on your appearance, whether they actually know you or not. In just 2 hours, I had 40 friends, and friend requests kept pouring in every few minutes. I couldn't help but wonder who was more pitiful, me or these people who were so easily deceived. The following day, I began chatting with her, and she was remarkably candid, even sending me photos of herself in rather revealing attire, all to a total stranger and without receiving anything in return. It made me wonder why many men didn't see this as a red flag. As a woman myself, I found it quite effortless to tell her what she wanted to hear. 2 or 3 days later, Destiny was already venting to me about her relationship problems with Jaden. Yes, you read that correctly. I suggested meeting up to show her what it's like to be with a real man. At this point, I had saved hours of conversations, including the dirtiest innuendos I had ever come across, along with pictures, voice messages, and so on. It was time. Meanwhile, as all of this unfolded, Jaden began reaching out to me, admitting that his actions were a mistake. I inquired if they had broken up, and he falsely claimed they had, not once, but twice when they hadn't. Strangely, this should have shattered my heart, but it didn't. I knew the truth but reassured him that I still loved him, was willing to forgive and forget, and even wanted him to move in with me. He sounded thrilled, declared his intention to give his 2 weeks' notice at work, and even texted me later that day, saying he had abruptly left his job without notice because he felt they weren't worth it. He mentioned he would pack his things and head over later in the week. I'm aware that karma will catch up with me, but this was my way of getting revenge. I posted all of our conversations on the fake profile, tagged her in it, and shared the pictures and videos exclusively for my ecstasy. Then I watched the drama unfold before deactivating the fake account. I received 53 likes and 82 messages. Her social circle, friends, and family all witnessed it. Jaden saw it too and coincidentally immediately messaged me saying, "Hey babe, just wanted to say that I miss you so much, can't wait to be with you again, miss you," without mentioning anything about the other girl. Little did he know that I was more informed than he realized. Friday comes around and he informs me that he's heading to my apartment. It's worth mentioning that I recently moved, so when Jaden was en route, he didn't know my new address. So I suggest we meet at a nearby CVS where I can guide him to my place. Classic Jaden, he responds with, "Sure, but I'm running low on gas, can you fill up my tank? Don't forget your credit card." I, in my forgiving nature, agree and tell him I'll do it once he arrives. Soon I receive a text saying he's at the CVS and asks for my whereabouts. I deliberately ignore it. 30 minutes later, he starts blowing up my phone like an aggressive telemarketer from an overseas call center. I ignore his calls. I admit I was a bit petty, letting it ring once so he knows I'm sending it to voicemail. An hour passes and he calls, leaving a voicemail expressing concern. "Hey babe, I'm worried about you, are you okay?" I was more than fine. 2 hours later, he informs me that he's stranded. He drove to another CVS thinking I was there, ran out of gas, and is now stuck at a gas station with all his stuff in the car. I still ignore his calls. I think it's the perfect time to get some sleep, but my excitement keeps me awake, so I take an Ambien and hit the hay. Saturday morning, it looks like a phone apocalypse occurred as I see my phone with 37 text messages, 28 missed calls, and 7 voicemails, all from one person. Guess who? Unfortunately, I can't share the voicemails, but I can say that eventually Jaden had to call his mom to come get him. After that, I blocked his number and had to change mine because he began calling me from his family's phone. Despite all the blocked calls, I received a message from his sister, the same one who told me about his affair. She was eager to update me on the aftermath. She revealed that their mom and Jaden returned home with Jaden sobbing his heart out, while their mom was furious. Interestingly, their mom wasn't mad because of his cheating. She was livid with me for what I did to her snotty kid. His sister made sure to reassure me, saying I was strong and deserved someone better than her deceitful, unfaithful brother. I acknowledged that I acted impulsively throughout this entire ordeal, likely tarnishing this girl's reputation within her social circle. I'm considering reactivating the fake profile to apologize or something, but I'm undecided. It's worth noting that she knowingly engaged in a relationship with a man who had a girlfriend, even seducing him, and then cheated on him as well. I'd appreciate your thoughts on this. She's unaware that it was me, just a random guy who exposed her actions. I made a conscious effort not to share the pictures, only showing them to my ex. Although he knows it's her, nobody has connected the dots, and I ensured it stays that way. I was cautious throughout this process. I lost him, yes, but I have no desire to get him back. It might sound crazy, but I still have lingering feelings for Jaden, my ex. He'll never forgive me now that he's jobless and the whole town knows his business. Destiny even admitted his Wiener Schnitzel is tiny, trying to shift the blame onto Jaden instead of taking full responsibility. A small part of me regrets everything and wishes for a reconciliation, but a larger part of me is relieved that I've put an end to any chance of that happening, as it wouldn't have worked out in the long run. It feels liberating to get all of this off my chest. Thank you.
Story 3.
The morning sun cast long shadows through the stained glass windows of St. Michael's Church, painting the white casket in fragments of blue and gold. Michael Sullivan stood alone beside it, his trembling fingers adjusting the small blue dinosaur resting atop the polished surface. The toy, a velociraptor, Tommy had always insisted on correcting anyone who called it just a dinosaur, looked out of place against the formal arrangement of white roses and lilies. He would have hated all these flowers, Michael whispered, his voice rough from hours of silence. Tommy had been allergic to lilies, something his wife should have remembered. If she'd bothered to help with the arrangements, his phone vibrated in his pocket. The screen lit up with her message, "Sorry, I can't make it to the service. Important business meeting in Seattle. Give Tommy a kiss from me. Love you both." Michael's fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles turned white. Seattle. Another lie to add to her growing collection. He'd seen the airline confirmation email in their shared account. She was in Maui, probably watching the sunrise from some luxury resort's balcony while their son lay cold in his casket. "Mr. Sullivan?" The funeral director's soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "We should begin seating the family soon." Michael nodded, unable to trust his voice. People had started arriving. Tommy's teachers from kindergarten, neighbors who'd watched him chase butterflies in their front yard just last month, distant relatives who'd flown in despite the short notice. They filed in quietly, their faces wearing identical masks of grief and sympathy. His mother appeared at his elbow, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. "The flowers are beautiful, Michael." Tommy was allergic to lilies, he said flatly. She touched his arm. "Where is she?" "Business meeting. In Seattle." The lie tasted bitter on his tongue. His mother's face hardened. "She should be here. Her son." She broke off, pressing her lips together. "I know, Mom." Michael stared at the casket. "Believe me, I know." More people arrived. Tommy's best friend from kindergarten came with his parents, the little boy clutching a hand-drawn picture of 2 stick figures playing with dinosaurs. Michael accepted it with murmured thanks, his heart clenching at the wobbly letters spelling out "Best Friends Forever." His phone buzzed again. "The meeting's running long. I'll call as soon as I can. Stay strong, strong." Like she had been strong through Tommy's illness, through the endless nights in the hospital when their son had cried for his mommy, not understanding why she wasn't there, through the final days when Michael pushed the memory away. Not now. Not here, the priest approached, prayer book in hand. Shall we begin? The service passed in a blur of hymns and prayers. Michael stood when required, sat when prompted, his responses automatic. His focus kept drifting to the empty space beside him, where she should have been, to the phone in his pocket that occasionally buzzed with her lies. In times of deepest sorrow, the priest was saying, we find comfort in knowing that Tommy is now in God's embrace. Michael's mind wandered to Tommy's last coherent day in the hospital. His son had asked for her again. He'd made another excuse again. Mommy's working hard, buddy. She'll come see you soon. The lie had felt like ground glass in his throat. His sister-in-law read a poem about angels. His brother spoke about Tommy's infectious laugh and dinosaur obsession. Michael sat through it all, his face a mask of grief that hid the inferno building inside him, that at the graveside. They handed him a white rose to place on the casket. The small crowd watched in respectful silence as he stepped forward. Instead of the rose, he placed Tommy's favorite book, the Big Book of Dinosaurs, next to the blue velociraptor. Sweet dreams, buddy, he whispered. Daddy loves you. His phone vibrated one final time, thinking of you both. Meeting running long. Call me later. Michael looked at the growing mound of earth that would soon cover his son. Tommy had been his reason for silence, for swallowing the bitter pills of her betrayal month after month, for maintaining the facade of a happy family even as he gathered evidence, documented her lies, and quietly prepared for the day he would tear her carefully constructed world apart. Now, standing in the cemetery while she lounged on a beach thousands of miles away, he felt the last threads of mercy snap inside him. She thought she was building a new life? Fine. But first, he would destroy everything she thought she was keeping. The gathering began to disperse. His mother tried to convince him to join them for lunch, but he declined. He had work to do. Goodbye, Tommy, he said softly, placing his untouched white rose on the grave. I promise you she's going to regret not being here today. He walked away from the grave, each step taking him further from the man he'd been and closer to the man her betrayal had created. His wife thought she was safe in her paradise with her lover. She was about to discover that paradise could become hell. With just a few clicks of a button, the time for grief would come later. Now was the time for revenge. 3 months earlier, the first crack in his wife's facade appeared on a Tuesday evening in March. Michael sat at the kitchen table, helping Tommy with his dinosaur puzzle while a pot of mac and cheese, the only thing their picky 5-year-old would eat, lately bubbled on the stove. Daddy, this piece doesn't fit, Tommy frowned, holding up a puzzle piece with tiny T-Rex claws. Try turning it around, buddy. Michael glanced at his watch. 7:45 p.m. She was late. Again, footsteps on the stairs announced his wife's arrival. She swept into the kitchen in a black dress he'd never seen before, designer briefcase in hand. The scent of unfamiliar perfume drifted in her wake. Working late again? Michael asked, stirring the mac and cheese. The Morrison merger is killing me, she replied, checking her reflection in the microwave door. Johnson needs these reports by morning. That's the 3rd time this week. He kept his voice neutral, even as his mind cataloged the inconsistencies. The new dress, the perfume, the freshly styled hair that somehow hadn't suffered from a full day at the office. What's that supposed to mean? Her tone carried a warning edge. Nothing, just an observation. He turned off the stove. Tommy, dinner's ready. Can we watch Jurassic Park while we eat? Tommy looked up with those big brown eyes, her eyes. Not tonight, champ. But how about we read your new dinosaur book after dinner? I won't be joining you, his wife announced, already heading for the door. Don't wait up, Mommy. Tommy's lower lip trembled. When will you be home? She paused long enough to kiss his forehead. Late, sweetie, but I'll check on you when I get back. The door closed behind her. Michael counted to 10, then pulled out his phone and opened their banking app. There it was, a charge from Sephora earlier that day. $200 for makeup and perfume she'd supposedly worn to the office that night, after tucking Tommy in with 3 bedtime stories and 2 glasses of water. Michael sat in his home office and began to dig. Credit card statements revealed a pattern he'd been blind to for months. Expensive restaurant charges for 2 on nights she claimed to be working. Hotel bar tabs in the city. A lingerie store purchase from last month. He certainly hadn't seen anything new. His cursor hovered over their phone carrier's website. One click, and he could view her detailed call logs. Did he really want to know? Yes. He needed to know. The next morning, he called in sick after dropping Tommy at school. Her iPad sat forgotten on the kitchen counter. She'd been in such a rush to make her early meeting. His fingers trembled as he entered Tommy's birthday. The password she used for everything, the screen unlocked, messages appeared. Hundreds of them, archived in a folder labeled Work Project. His stomach churned as he scrolled through conversations and photos that made him want to vomit. The timestamps matched her late meetings perfectly. A text from last night caught his eye. Last night was amazing. Can't wait for next week's Seattle conference. Will be perfect. No interruptions. Michael's vision blurred. Seattle conference. The same week as her supposed business meeting in Hawaii, that he methodically took screenshots of everything, sending them to his secure email before carefully erasing all traces of his investigation. Then he went to the bathroom and threw up until nothing remained but bitter bile. That evening, he watched Tommy chase fireflies in the backyard, his son's laughter a counterpoint to the rage burning in his chest. For Tommy's sake, he would say nothing, do nothing. His son deserved a stable home, even if it was built on lies. Daddy, look, I caught one. Tommy held up his cupped hands, the firefly's glow pulsing between his fingers. Michael forced a smile. That's amazing, buddy. You're getting really good at that. Can we show Mommy when she gets home? The firefly might be sleeping by then, but how about we take a picture to show her tomorrow? Tommy nodded eagerly, and Michael snapped a photo of his son's radiant face illuminated by the tiny light in his hands. A moment of pure joy preserved forever. The next weeks became an exercise in controlled fury. He watched her leave 4 meetings, wearing clothes he knew she'd bought for another man. He listened to her phone conversations, now able to decode the real meaning behind her careful words. He documented everything. The breaking point came during Tommy's kindergarten play. He'd been cast as a baby dinosaur in the school's spring production. Michael sat in the audience alone, recording the performance on his phone, while his wife sent a text about being stuck in traffic later. He found a restaurant charge from that evening. Dinner for 2 at an intimate French bistro across town. That night, after Tommy was asleep, Michael began to plan. He spoke with financial advisors under the guise of estate planning. He consulted lawyers about hypothetical scenarios. He gathered evidence, moved assets, and prepared for every contingency, all while maintaining the perfect facade of a loving husband. He kissed her goodbye in the mornings, remembering the taste of lies on her lips. He asked about her day, knowing every answer was false. He played his role flawlessly, all for Tommy's sake, until the diagnosis changed everything. The hospital corridors seemed endless, their antiseptic smell burning Michael's nostrils as he paced outside Tommy's room. His phone displayed the same message he'd sent an hour ago. They want to do more tests. He's asking for you. No response. He knew why she was at a hotel downtown with him. The knowledge sat like acid in his stomach. Mr. Sullivan? The oncologist appeared, clutching a folder. We have the results. The words that followed destroyed his world. Aggressive. Advanced. Options limited. Time short. That he sent another message. Please come. It's important point. 20 minutes later, she replied, stuck in crucial meeting. Can't get away. Keep me posted. That night, as Tommy finally slept, sedated after hours of pain and tears, Michael made his decision. He opened his laptop and began to execute the plan he'd been crafting for months. First, the financial preparations. He'd already documented every transaction, every lie, every betrayal. Now he began moving assets, carefully and legally, into accounts she couldn't access. The house was in both their names, but his inheritance from his grandfather, the money she thought they'd spent on renovations, sat untouched in a private account. Next, the evidence. He organized everything chronologically: credit card statements, hotel receipts, screenshots of messages, photos she thought were deleted. He created multiple copies, stored in various secure locations. Then he started composing emails to her boss, her family, their friends. Each message carefully crafted, each recipient chosen for maximum impact. The emails sat in his drafts folder, Waiting for the right moment, the hospital became his second home. Tommy's condition deteriorated rapidly, each day bringing new challenges, new pain. Michael took leave from work, spending every moment by his son's bedside. She visited occasionally, making appearances between her meetings. Each time, Tommy's face would light up, then fall as she rushed away again, always with the same excuses. "Why isn't Mommy here more?" Tommy asked one night, his small body racked with fever. "She has to work, buddy," Michael replied, the familiar lie tasting like poison. "But she loves you very much. Can you call her? Please?" Michael did, knowing she wouldn't answer. Her phone went straight to voicemail. She never kept it on during her meetings. He documented these moments too. Every missed call, every weak excuse, every time Tommy cried for her. The evidence mounted, a testament to her betrayal not just of him, but of their dying son. In Tommy's final week, Michael sent urgent messages daily. "His condition is worse. The doctors are concerned. He keeps asking for you. Please come." She made brief appearances, always distracted, always rushing away to another emergency meeting. Michael watched her check her phone constantly, knowing who she was messaging. He saw her relief each time she left, escaping back to her parallel life while their son slipped away the night Tommy died. She was in a hotel with him. Michael sat alone, holding his son's hand as the monitors flatlined and the doctors rushed in. He sent one final message. "He's gone." Her response came an hour later. "OMG, on my way," but she never came. Instead, she sent another message the next morning about an emergency business trip to Seattle. The same trip he knew would actually take her to Hawaii with her lover. The funeral arrangements fell to him alone. He chose Tommy's favorite dinosaur book and toy to accompany him. He selected the cemetery plot under the oak tree because Tommy had loved watching squirrels play in their backyard. He wrote the obituary with shaking hands, leaving her name out entirely, his first act of revenge. Now, as he prepared for the funeral, Michael finished his preparations. The emails were ready. The financial transfers were in place. The evidence was organized. Everything waited for his command. Like missiles in their silos, she thought she was escaping to paradise with her lover. She had no idea she was about to lose everything else. Michael looked at Tommy's last photo, smiling, holding the firefly, forever 5 years old, and felt the last trace of mercy die in his heart. The time for silence was over. The time for revenge had begun. The morning after Tommy's funeral, Michael sat in his home office, surrounded by 3 monitors. Each screen displayed a different aspect of his wife's life, the life she thought she'd kept hidden. His fingers hovered over the keyboard as he reviewed his plan one final time. His phone buzzed with a message from her. "Landing in Seattle soon. How are you holding up?" Michael's laugh held no humor. He opened his tracking software and watched the little dot that represented her phone moving across the Pacific, heading straight for Maui, not Seattle. "Time to begin," he muttered, opening his email drafts folder. The first email went to her boss, Richard Morton. Michael had crafted it carefully over the past months, attaching selected screenshots of text messages and hotel receipts. Mr. Morton, I believe you should be aware of how company resources and time are being utilized by one of your employees. He attached documentation of every business meeting that had actually been rendezvous with her lover, including expense reports she'd submitted for reimbursement. The hotel bars, the restaurants, all of it. His phone rang. His brother Tom. "How you holding up?" Tom asked. "I'm working on something," Michael replied, his voice steady. "Remember that conversation we had about business ethics last month? The hypothetical about employee fraud?" "Yeah, why?" Tom paused. "Wait, are you saying?" "She's in Hawaii right now. Told everyone she's at a conference in Seattle." "Jesus Christ." Tom's voice hardened. "What do you need?" "Your legal expertise. And your discretion. You've got both. Send me what you have." Michael forwarded a set of documents to his brother's law office email. "How long will it take you to review these?" "Give me an hour. Don't do anything until we talk." While waiting for Tom's call, Michael prepared the next phase. He created a separate email account months ago, untraceable to him. From it, he composed messages to her closest friends, family members, and professional contacts. His phone rang again. "Everything you've documented is admissible," Tom said without preamble. The expense report fraud alone could end her career. The rest. He whistled low. You've been planning this for a while, haven't you? Since I found out. Before Tommy got sick. Yes. A long pause. Good. Make her pay. Michael's other phone, a burner, lit up with a text from a number he'd tracked to her lover. Meeting confirmed for next week. Same place? He smiled coldly. The lover didn't know he'd been getting copies of their messages for months. Time to put that information to use. Tom, I need one more favor, Michael said. Remember that private investigator you used in the Martinez case? Already sent you his number. He's expecting your call. Michael hung up and dialed the PI's number. James Morton speaking. Mr. Morton, my brother Tom referred me. I need documentation of certain activities in Maui this week. Location? Michael rattled off the hotel name and room number he'd found in her forwarded confirmation email. Timeline? They'll be there 5 days. I need photos. Lots of them. Discretion assured. Absolutely necessary. Consider it done. Michael returned to his computer and began the financial phase of his plan. He'd spent months preparing, moving assets gradually to avoid suspicion. Now it was time for the final transfers. His office phone rang. Her company's HR department. Mr. Sullivan? This is Patricia from HR. We've received some concerning information. I'm aware. Michael cut in smoothly. I've documented everything thoroughly. Would you like me to send it directly to you? Or should it go through legal first? A sharp intake of breath. Legal first, please. And Mr. Sullivan? I'm so sorry about your son. Thank you. His voice remained perfectly controlled. You'll have everything within the hour. He hung up and checked his email. Tom had sent back the legal documents, annotated with suggestions. The PI had sent confirmation of his arrival in Maui, and her boss had responded with a single line, meeting in my office. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Michael allowed himself a small smile. Phase 1 was proceeding exactly as planned. He opened his banking app and began the final transfers. By the time she realized what was happening, their joint accounts would be empty, the assets secured in accounts she couldn't touch. His phone buzzed with another message from her. Seattle is exhausting. Miss you both. Michael didn't bother responding. Instead, he opened the folder containing photos from Tommy's last days in the hospital. Every empty chair where she should have been. Every tearful request from Mommy that went unanswered. Every moment she'd chosen him over their dying son, that he attached the photos to a new email draft. This one would go to her lover's family, friends, and business associates. Let them see exactly what kind of person they were dealing with. The sun was setting when his brother called again. It's done, Tom said. HR has everything. Her boss is livid. And I heard through the grapevine that the audit department is launching an investigation into her expense reports. Perfect. Michael leaned back in his chair. Now we wait. She has no idea what's coming, does she? No. Michael stared at Tommy's photo on his desk. But she will. The next morning, Michael's phone exploded with notifications. His carefully crafted emails had done their work overnight, spreading through her social and professional networks like a virus. His brother arrived at 8, carrying coffee and a laptop. You'll want to see this, Tom said. Pulling up her company's internal messaging system, he still had access from handling their legal work. It's spreading like wildfire. Michael watched the messages scroll past. Employees sharing screenshots of the evidence he'd sent. HR memos about emergency meetings. Her boss's thunderous email demanding an immediate return from her Seattle conference. How long until she knows? Tom asked. She's 7 hours behind us in Hawaii. About an hour until she wakes up to this nightmare. Right on schedule, his phone rang. Her best friend Rachel. Michael? Oh my God, I just got these horrible emails about. They're all true. He cut in calmly. Every screenshot. Every photo. Every receipt. But she's in Seattle, no. She's in Maui. With him. While our son was being buried. A sharp gasp. Tommy's funeral. She said she had meetings. Check your email again. I sent you the airline confirmation and hotel booking. 5 days in Hawaii with her lover while our son's body was still warm. Rachel's voice hardened. That fucking bitch. Feel free to share that information with anyone who asks. More calls poured in. Family members. Friends. Colleagues. Michael answered each one the same way. Calm, collected, Armed with irrefutable evidence, his burner phone lit up with a message from the PI in Maui. Targets acquired. First set of photos incoming, the images showed his wife and her lover having breakfast on their hotel balcony, looking relaxed and happy, as if their son hadn't been buried yesterday. Perfect timing, Michael murmured. Forwarding the photos to her entire contact list, Tom whistled low. You're really going for the jugular. She hasn't seen anything yet. His phone rang again. Her mother. How dare you spread these lies about my daughter, she screeched. Check your email, Michael replied coldly. I just sent you photos taken less than an hour ago. Your daughter's having breakfast in Maui with her lover while her son's grave is still fresh. Still want to talk about lies? Silence. Then, in a broken voice, she told me she was in Seattle. She tells a lot of stories. Check the other attachments, screenshots of her texts with him during Tommy's last days in the hospital. While you were asking why she wasn't there for her dying son, she was in hotel rooms with him. More silence, followed by a choked sob. I need to call her father. Give him my number if he wants proof. I have plenty. The morning wore on. Michael watched his plan unfold through calls, texts, and emails. Her professional reputation crumbled as the evidence of expense fraud circulated through her company. Her social circle imploded as friends discovered her web of lies. Her family reeled from the proof of her betrayal during Tommy's illness and death. His phone buzzed a text from her. Why isn't my credit card working? Then another. Michael? The hotel says our joint account is empty. What's going on? And another. My boss is calling. Something about an emergency. Are you doing this? Michael didn't respond. Instead, he sent another batch of photos to her lover's wife. Yes, he discovered that particular detail months ago. The man wasn't just having an affair with Michael's wife. He was cheating on his own spouse. Tom looked up from his laptop. Her company's legal department just opened a formal investigation. And the audit team's preliminary report, it's bad, Michael. Really bad. Good? Michael checked his watch. Time for phase 3? Hit her with everything. Michael opened his email and began forwarding the hospital photos documents of every missed visit, every ignored call, every time she chose her lover over their dying son. He sent them to everyone. Her friends, family, colleagues, neighbors. Everyone who had attended Tommy's funeral. Everyone who had sent condolences. Everyone who needed to know exactly why she hadn't been there. His phone lit up with her face, her first direct call. What have you done? She whispered. I've told the truth, he replied calmly. Something you should try sometime. Michael, please. How's Maui? Better than Seattle. A sharp intake of breath. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I've understood for months. Every lie, every betrayal, every time you chose him over Tommy. That's not fair. Fair. His voice turned to ice. Was it fair when our son cried for you in the hospital while you were in a hotel with your lover? Was it fair when you missed his funeral for a Hawaiian vacation? I can explain. Save it for HR. And your lover's wife. Oh, and your parents. They're especially interested in those photos of you at breakfast this morning. The ones taken at the same time they were laying flowers on their grandson's grave. You're destroying my life, she whispered. No, Michael corrected her. You destroyed it yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly who you are. He hung up and turned to Tom. How long until her company suspends her? Tom checked his phone. Just came through. Suspended without pay. Pending investigation. Perfect. Michael opened his laptop. Now, about those assets. As evening approached, Michael received another update from the PI in Maui. The photos showed his wife arguing with her lover by the hotel pool, their faces twisted with anger. Trouble in paradise? Tom asked, looking over his shoulder. Right on schedule, Michael replied. Once the money runs out, watch how quickly he abandons her. His phone buzzed with a message from the lover's wife. Thank you for telling me the truth. I've frozen our accounts and contacted my lawyer. Michael forwarded this message to his wife's lover, watching the chaos unfold from 3,000 miles away. Within minutes, his PI sent new photos, the lover storming out of the hotel room. Wheeling his suitcase behind him, the calls had slowed to a trickle, but each one brought news of another relationship destroyed, another connection severed. Her closest friend Rachel called again, fury in her voice. I just found out she was with him the night I watched Tommy, so she could work late, Rachel spat. I kept her secret for months without knowing it. I helped her betray you and Tommy. Don't blame yourself, Michael said. She fooled a lot of people. Not anymore. I sent those photos to everyone in our mother's group. No one will speak to her again. His wife's number flashed on his phone again. He let it go to voicemail, then played it on speaker. Michael, please. Her voice cracked. He left. The hotel wants payment. My cards aren't working. I can't even buy a plane ticket home. My boss won't answer my calls. My parents, a sob. What am I supposed to do? Figure it out, he muttered. Deleting the message, Tom looked up from his laptop. Her company's investigation is moving fast. They found evidence of fraud going back months. Falsified expense reports, unauthorized charges. Company resources used to facilitate the affair. Send it to her industry contacts, Michael directed. Make sure everyone knows why she was fired. Already done. No one will hire her after this. Michael's phone lit up with another call. Her father this time. I've removed her from my will, the older man said without preamble. No daughter of mine would abandon her dying child for an affair. I understand. Do you need anything? Money for Tommy's expenses? No. But thank you. More messages poured in from her social circle, each one severing another connection. The mothers from Tommy's school, her college friends, her professional network, all responding to the evidence with disgust and anger. His burner phone buzzed a message from her lover. This is your fault. You've ruined everything. Michael smiled coldly and forwarded the message to the man's wife, along with photos of him abandoning his mistress at the hotel. Let him try to explain that during the divorce, another voicemail from his wife. Everyone's turned against me. My boss, my friends, my own parents. How could you do this? We could have handled this privately. Michael deleted it without responding. Instead, he sent another batch of evidence to her remaining contacts, anyone who might still be willing to help her. Every bridge would burn. Every door would close that Tom's phone buzzed. Her company's making it official. Termination for cause. Effective immediately. They're filing criminal charges for the expense fraud. Perfect timing, Michael said, opening his email. Ready for the final blow. Tom nodded grimly. Michael began forwarding the last set of photos, the ones from Tommy's final days. His small body in the hospital bed, the empty chair where she should have been, the nurse's logs documenting every time she didn't show up. Each image accompanied by proof of where she'd actually been. Hotel receipts, restaurant charges, timestamps matching her texts with her lover. Think anyone will stand by her after seeing these? Tom asked quietly. Would you? His phone lit up one last time her number again. This time he answered. What do you want? I have nothing left, she whispered. No money, no job, no friends. Even my parents won't speak to me. Please. You had everything, he cut in coldly. A husband who loved you. A beautiful son who adored you. A good job. Friends. Family. But you threw it all away for cheap hotel rooms and lies. I'll do anything. There's nothing left to do. Your lover's gone. Your job's gone. Every friend you had knows what you did to Tommy. Every family member has seen how you chose a cheap affair over your dying son. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, she sobbed. The affair, it just happened. I never thought. You never thought you'd get caught, Michael interrupted. You never thought I'd find out about the hotels, the lies, the fraud. You never thought I'd discover you were with him while our son died alone. Please, I'm begging you. I begged too. His voice turned razor sharp. I begged you to come to the hospital when Tommy cried for you. I begged you to be there for his last breath. I begged you to attend your own son's funeral. How did that work out? A long silence broken only by her muffled sobs. I can change, she whispered finally. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. While you were building your new life with him, I was planning my future without you. Michael's voice remained steady, emotionless. Enjoy your nothingness. He ended the call and turned to Tom. It's done? Tom nodded grimly. The PI says she's alone at the hotel bar. Her lover's on a flight back to his wife. Her company's attorneys have contacted me about pressing charges for the fraud. Good? Michael opened his laptop one final time. Now for the last piece. He drafted a simple email to her family, friends, and colleagues. To anyone still wondering about the truth, attached are the final photos. The first set shows my wife with her lover during Tommy's last days in the hospital. The second set shows her at a luxury resort in Maui yesterday, while we buried our son. That I don't ask for sympathy or support. I only ask that you remember Tommy, and how his mother chose to spend his final days. Michael, he hit send and closed the laptop. What now? Tom asked quietly. Michael stood and walked to the window, looking out at the setting sun. Now, I focus on honoring Tommy's memory. She can live with the consequences of her choices. His phone buzzed one final time, a message from her. I have nothing left. Michael didn't respond. Instead, he pulled up the last photo he'd taken of Tommy, smiling despite the hospital tubes and wires, asking when Mommy would visit. You're wrong, he whispered to the empty room. You had everything. You just didn't value it enough to keep it. A week after Tommy's funeral, Michael's phone lit up with a message from the airport security guard he'd befriended. She's back. Looking rough, Michael checked the time. 3:47 a.m. Perfect. He'd made sure she couldn't afford a better flight. His brother Tom called minutes later. Airport security just spotted her. Want me to have someone follow? No need, Michael replied, sitting in his darkened home office. She'll figure out soon enough. There's nowhere left to go. The PI's final report from Maui had painted a satisfying picture. Her lover abandoning her at the hotel, her desperate attempts to use frozen credit cards, the humiliation of begging the hotel manager not to call the police over the unpaid bill. In the end, her parents had sent a one-way ticket home economy class, with 3 layovers. That Michael's phone buzzed again. Rachel, his wife's former best friend. She just tried to call me. Rachel's voice dripped with disgust. I blocked her number. How many others did she try? Everyone. No one's answering. Her sister told me their parents changed the locks and left for their cabin. They don't want to see her. Michael smiled coldly. Any word from her company? The audit team finished their investigation. Criminal charges are being filed next week. Her professional license is already suspended. The sound of a car door slamming outside caught his attention. Michael moved to the window, watching a taxi pull away from their house, their former house. He'd moved out days ago, leaving only what the divorce papers specified she could claim. His phone lit up with her number. He let it ring. Her voice trembled in the voicemail. Michael? I'm outside our house. My key doesn't work. Please. I have nowhere else to go. He deleted the message and dialed Tom. She's here. Right on schedule, Tom replied. Want me to call the police? Not yet. Let her understand exactly what she's lost first. More pounding on the door. More calls. More desperate voicemails. Please, Michael. Everything's gone. My job, my friends, my family. I can't even access my own bank accounts. What am I supposed to do? Delete. The hotel bills maxed out my credit cards. He left me there, Michael. Just walked out. Please, I need help. Delete. Our son's toys are in there. His clothes. His pictures. You can't keep me from his things. I'm his mother. That one made Michael's hand clench around the phone. He pulled up the photos from Tommy's last hospital stay and forwarded them to her with a single line of text. A mother would have been there. The pounding stopped. He watched through the window as she slumped against the front door, illuminated by the motion sensor light. Her designer clothes wrinkled and stained from days of travel. His phone buzzed. Her lover's wife. Thought you'd want to know, the woman said without preamble. He's begging to come home. Swear she meant nothing. That she was just convenient. Are you taking him back? A harsh laugh. No, but I'm enjoying watching him lose everything, just like you planned. The divorce papers hit him hard. Losing his partnership at the firm hit harder. Good. Thank you, she added softly, for telling me the truth. Michael ended the call and watched his wife through the window. She was trying to see through the front windows now, pressing her face against the glass like a ghost locked out of her own life. His phone lit up with another message from her. At least let me get my things. That he replied with a photo of the moving company's receipt, showing her clothes and personal items had been placed in storage, along with the storage facility's address and the bill for 6 months' rent. It was the only reply she would get from him. More buzzing. More voicemails. More deletion around dawn. Police lights flashed at the end of the street. Michael had arranged this too. An anonymous call about a suspicious person prowling around a private residence that he watched through the window as two officers approached her. Watched her desperate attempts to explain. Watched them check her ID and run it through their system. His phone buzzed one final time that morning, Tom. Her arrest warrant just hit the system, his brother said. The fraud charges are official. Michael watched the officers help her into the back of their car. Not roughly, but with the firm inevitability of justice long delayed. Good, he replied. Let her explain to a judge why she thought company funds should pay for hotel rooms with her lover while our son died alone. The police car pulled away, carrying her toward the consequences of her choices. Michael closed the blinds and turned to his laptop, where Tommy's smiling face lit up the screen. Phase 1 of justice for you, buddy, he whispered. But we're not done yet. The county courthouse loomed gray and imposing in the morning light. Michael straightened his tie as he walked up the steps, Tom at his side. You sure you want to be here for this? Tom asked. I want to see her face when they read the charges. Inside, the courtroom was already filling her former colleagues, friends, and family members drawn by the spectacle of her fall. Michael took a seat in the back, watching as she was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her designer clothes and perfect makeup replaced by bare feet and hollow eyes. Her court-appointed lawyer looked overwhelmed. No surprise Michael had made sure every private attorney in town had a conflict of interest. All rise. The proceedings moved quickly. The evidence was overwhelming. Fraudulent expense reports, misused company funds, falsified documents. Each charge another nail in the coffin of her former life when they read the amount over $50,000 spent on hotels and meals with her lover. An audible gasp went through the courtroom. How does the defendant plead? Her voice cracked. Guilty. Michael watched without expression as she accepted a plea deal. 6 months in county jail, full restitution, 5 years probation. Her professional license would be permanently revoked outside the courtroom. Her father approached Michael. We've removed her from the will, the older man said quietly. Everything goes to Tommy's Memorial Foundation now. He'd appreciate that. We're moving away, her mother added, appearing at her husband's side. Sold the house. We can't stay here after what she did. Michael nodded. More collateral damage from her choices. His phone buzzed Rachel. Just saw the news, she said when he answered. 6 months seems light. The jail time doesn't matter, Michael replied. She's lost everything else. No career, no friends, no family, no future. Good. Back at his new apartment, Michael opened his laptop to check the latest developments. Her lover's divorce was proceeding rapidly. His wife had hired the city's most aggressive attorney. His law firm had asked for his resignation. His own family had publicly disowned him. Tom arrived with dinner and updates. Her apartment application was rejected, he reported, setting down Chinese takeout containers. All 3 of them. No one will rent to her once she's out. Her old position? Filled. And HR sent warnings to every company in the industry. She's unhireable. Michael nodded, picking at his food. Any word from her friends? Rachel organized something called a warning network. Every time she tries to connect with someone new, they get anonymous photos from Tommy's last days. No one will touch her. The next morning, Michael drove to the cemetery. Tommy's grave was covered in fresh flowers from everyone except his mother. It's done, buddy, Michael said softly, placing a small dinosaur next to the headstone. She'll never hurt anyone like she hurt you again. His phone buzzed a collect call from the county jail. He declined it. Later that week, Tom brought more news. She tried to contact her old clients. Someone leaked those photos of her in Maui during Tommy's funeral. Her professional network is destroying itself to get away from her. Perfect. Michael checked his watch. Time for the final piece? Tom nodded grimly. Michael opened his email and began composing the last message he would ever send about her. He attached photos spanning months, her empty chair at Tommy's hospital bed, timestamped messages to her lover during critical medical procedures, hotel receipts matching the dates of missed visits, and finally, the damning images from Maui during the funeral. The recipient list included every contact she had left, every potential connection, every possible avenue of escape. He added a simple message before you welcome her into your life. Remember how she treated her dying son. Remember what she chose instead of attending his funeral. Remember that some people never change. They just find new victims. The photos tell the truth. What you do with it is up to you, Send. That's it? Tom asked quietly. Michael nodded, closing his laptop. That's it. She made her choice that day in Maui. Now she can live with it. 6 months passed like a slow-turning page. Michael focused on building his new life, channeling his energy into Tommy's Memorial Foundation. The charity helped families with children in long-term hospital care, ensuring no child would lie alone while their parent chose something else. The morning of her release dawned cold and gray. Michael stood at his office window, watching the city wake up. His phone buzzed. Rachel. She tried reaching out on social media. Rachel reported. Every account was banned within hours. Those photos of her during Tommy's funeral are everywhere. Good. The mother's group started a warning system. Anytime she tries to make new friends, they make sure the truth comes out. Michael's other phone lit up. Tom. Her job applications were all rejected, his brother said without preamble. Every company in her field has blacklisted her. The fraud conviction and license revocation are permanent. Her lover, divorced, disgraced, living in a studio apartment after his wife took everything. He won't take her calls either. Michael ended both calls and opened his email. A message from her father. We've sold the house. Moving cross-country. Please don't tell her where. Delete. Another from her former boss. The industry warning about her went national. She'll never work in this field again. Delete. Got a notification from his bank. The last of Tommy's medical bills, paid in full. Below it, a reminder that her accounts remained frozen. Her credit destroyed. Her assets gone. His phone buzzed again. An unknown number. You've taken everything. Her voice was hollow, broken. My career, my friends, my family. What am I supposed to do now? You still don't understand, Michael replied calmly. I didn't take anything. You threw it all away the moment you chose him over Tommy. I made a mistake. No. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was a choice. Every time you left our dying son alone to meet your lover, that was a choice. Missing his funeral for a Hawaiian vacation, that was a choice. Please, she whispered. I have nothing left. Now you understand how Tommy felt. Lying in that hospital bed, calling for his mommy, not understanding why she chose someone else over him. Silence, broken only by muffled sobs. I loved you once, Michael continued, his voice cold. But the moment you abandoned our son, you became nothing to me. Now you're nothing to everyone else too. Live with it. He ended the call and blocked the number. Later that week. Michael drove to his favorite spot, a peaceful overlook where he and Tommy used to watch the sunset. The autumn wind carried the scent of approaching winter. His phone lit up with messages he didn't bother reading. Please, I need help. No one will hire me. I'm sleeping in my car. Just tell me what you want me to do. Each one a reminder of choices made and prices paid. That Tom's weekly update arrived. She tried opening a new account at a local bank. They saw the fraud conviction and turned her away. She's completely cut off. Good. Michael watched the sun sink toward the horizon. Any word from her family? They've disappeared. Changed numbers, moved away, left no forwarding address. She's tried reaching out through mutual friends, but no one will help her. Michael nodded, pulling up the last photo he had of Tommy, smiling despite the hospital tubes, his stuffed dinosaur clutched tight. I did it, buddy, he whispered. She'll never hurt anyone like she hurt you again. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. Tommy had loved sunsets, always insisting they stayed until the last light faded. That Michael's phone buzzed one final time. Rachel. Just wanted you to know, she said quietly. The foundation helped 3 families this month. 3 children who won't be alone because of what you built from this. Tommy would have liked that. Yes, Rachel agreed. He would have. Michael ended the call and stood at the overlook, watching darkness claim the sky. Behind him lay the wreckage of his old life. A faithless wife reduced to nothing, a lover destroyed by his own betrayal, a network of friends and family who would never trust her again. Before him stretched a new path, illuminated by Tommy's memory. Not happiness, perhaps, but purpose. Not forgiveness, But Justice's phone remained silent now. There was nothing left to say. She had chosen her path that day in Maui. And now she would walk it alone, just as Tommy had walked his final days. Without her, Michael turned away from the overlook and walked to his car. The foundation had work to do, children to help, families to support. That Tommy's legacy would be one of love and presence, not betrayal and absence. And somewhere out there, his wife, his ex-wife, would spend the rest of her life understanding exactly what she had thrown away that IT was finished. And it was enough.
Story 4.
Timothy, commonly referred to as Tim by his buddies, glanced at his cell phone upon receiving a message from Candace, or Candy, as she preferred to be called, his spouse of half a decade. He had just secured a service contract with a major company in California with branches across the nation. He anticipated that his boss, Jake Hudson, would be thrilled as this contract signified significant expansion for his IT firm and a considerable boost in his salary. Perhaps now, he mused, he and Candy could finally begin their planned journey of starting a family. Yet he harbored concerns, which had been nagging at him since he and his wife joined Jake on a camping trip a little over a week ago. There was a subtle change in her demeanor upon their return from the trip. It seemed her mind was preoccupied with something else most of the time, and she had become slightly irritable with him. However, there was more. Upon returning home and tossing their clothes in the hamper, he noticed something unusual in the gusset of one of her underwear. Picking them up, he observed that something had solidified with a distinctive odor. Suddenly, realization struck him, and he felt as though his entire world had crumbled. He didn't know whose fluid was in her underwear, but he vowed to uncover the truth. Aware of an upcoming trip to the West Coast, he consulted a lawyer to explore his options. If Candy was indeed unfaithful, he reasoned, it would spell the end of their marriage. "Are you certain your wife is being unfaithful?" Ruby Hawkins inquired. Ruby, specializing in family law and divorce, came recommended by a friend who had recently divorced due to infidelity. "Not entirely," he admitted. "But I need certainty, and if she is, I want a divorce." "Well," Ruby began, "most divorces in this state are no fault. You could file on grounds of infidelity, but you'll require solid evidence." "Like photos or video?" Tim queried. "Exactly," Ruby affirmed. "If you wish, I can have an investigator monitor her activities to confirm." "Please do," Tim replied. "What should I expect in terms of divorce proceedings?" "Given she earns roughly as much as you do with her teaching job, there's a chance we can avoid alimony," Ruby explained. "With no real estate or children, assets would likely be split evenly. Your retirement stays yours and so does hers. If she is indeed cheating, we'll use that as grounds and leverage any evidence we gather for a favorable outcome. I'll start compiling the necessary paperwork, and we'll proceed once we have evidence." "All right," Tim agreed. "Go ahead. I'll be away for about 3 days, which I reckon is when she might act." Ruby enlisted her investigator, Marvin Johnson, who proposed Tim install a tracking app on Candy's phone. Additionally, he provided Tim with a device for recording landline calls and an audio recorder to conceal in Candy's purse. Tim despised resorting to such measures, but felt compelled to uncover the truth. There were other indicators, too. Since the camping trip, Jake seemed more arrogant and disdainful than usual, as if he held some secret knowledge. During the week, Candy drove him to the airport, bidding him farewell with a kiss. He assured her he would call her that night after dinner. She responded affirmatively and wished him safe travels. On the first night away, as agreed, he called Candy, only to be surprised when she mentioned she'd be working as a waitress at a party Jake was hosting that evening. According to her, there was an emergency as one of the original waitstaff fell ill, and Jake requested her assistance. Tim hadn't been informed of such plans by Jake. Candy explained that Jake promised her $150 for the evening, which would be helpful since she wouldn't be returning to work for a couple of weeks. Tim knew classes would resume soon, and he understood she could use the extra money, but he felt uneasy. He questioned her decision, to which she replied affirmatively, expressing her love for him before saying goodnight. After ending the call, a knot of worry formed in his gut. He decided to phone the investigator to inform them about Candy's new job. "Just wanted to inform you, Candy's been asked to waitress for a party at Jake Hudson's house," Tim stated. Marvin confirmed that they would keep him posted, and Tim thanked him before ending the call. The next day, he called Candy's cell but got no answer. He also tried the house phone, reaching only the answering machine. Surely she didn't spend the night with Jake, he thought. However, his hopes were shattered when he received an email from Marvin that afternoon. Candy spent the night at Hudson's house, and she's still there, the email read. And she was quite busy the night before. I've attached a couple of photos, but I want to warn you, they're pretty graphic. I'll give you my full report when you return. Tim opened the attachments and his heart sank. There was his beloved wife of 5 years, engaged in explicit acts. One involved Jake, while the others were colleagues he once considered friends. The second photo showed her sprawled on the floor. Tears streamed down his face as his hands trembled. He couldn't believe what he saw. Timothy, known as Tim to his friends, tried calling her phone again, but it went straight to voicemail. He also dialed the house phone, encountering only the answering machine. Leaving no message, he sought solace in the hotel bar. The next morning, he checked the tracker, confirming Candy's phone remained at Jake's house. Marvin verified this assumption with an email containing more photos, including a disturbing scene involving Jake, his son Mike, and others from Jake's IT firm. He once trusted them all, but not anymore. He didn't recognize the other 3 men and assumed they were Mike's friends. Concluding his business in California, Tim left the hotel, contract in hand, and caught an early flight home. Arriving home, he noticed Candy's car was gone. Checking the tracker, her phone remained at Jake's. Inside, he changed clothes and called Ruby's office. To his surprise, Ruby's receptionist informed him that she was available and could see him that afternoon. Tim called Candy's cell and was startled when she answered, sounding out of breath. He asked her where she was, and she claimed to be at home catching up. Shocked by her blatant lie, Tim informed her that he was done in California and on his way home. Candy expressed excitement at his return and suggested that she pick him up at the airport when he lands. However, Tim declined, telling her not to bother and that he would grab a taxi. After ending the call, he wondered if she noticed his lack of affection. Shaking his head, he left the house to see Ruby. Candy glanced at her phone after Tim hung up. His usual "I love you" sign-off was absent, and his tone seemed distant. She had intended to leave after the first night, but the allure of being between Jake and his son was irresistible. She justified it to herself as something she owed to her own desires. She assumed it would all end once classes resumed, and Tim would remain unaware. Thus, she spent the following day and night with Jake and his son, Mike. While Jake briefly left for work the next day, Mike kept her occupied, and even arranged for friends to join for a group encounter. Upon Jake's return, she was in bed with Mike on Jake's bed. Joining in, Jake suggested sending Tim away more frequently. "I have classes soon," she explained, "so I won't be available on weekdays. I can't risk it while Tim's at home." "Why not?" Jake jested. "Perhaps he'd enjoy seeing you with other men for a change." They chuckled at the notion. Admitting her attachment to Jake, she affirmed her love for Tim and reluctance to hurt him. Jake proposed arranging for Tim's absence over weekends, allowing her to spend time with them. "But Tim will find out eventually," she voiced. "He's not oblivious." "Don't fret," Jake assured, reaching for his camera. "I'll handle him. Just one condition," he added. "What's that?" she inquired. "You won't be in bed with him anymore," Jake declared. "You're ours now, got it?" "How do I manage that?" she questioned. "You'll think of something," Jake dismissed. "Use an excuse like a headache." "I'll try," she acquiesced. Unaware of the surveillance, they remained oblivious to a van across the street with minicams recording their actions. Tim's devastation upon seeing the evidence Marvin compiled was profound. In addition to photos, there were videos showcasing her acts with multiple men, far beyond what she would do with him. His love for her evaporated as he pondered her behavior. Ruby attempted to console him, but his anguish persisted. How could she change so drastically after 5 years? What had he done to deserve this? And Jake, whom he once considered a friend, now revealed his true nature. "I'll initiate divorce proceedings," Ruby suggested, citing infidelity. "We could also file for alienation of affection against Jake and your colleagues. Although these cases are often challenging, I believe we can secure a favorable settlement." "Do whatever's necessary," Tim responded. "Just don't make any reckless moves," Ruby cautioned. "I don't want to bail you out of jail." "I won't," Tim assured. "When will the papers be ready?" "I'll have everything prepared in a couple of days," Ruby assured him. "Meanwhile, try to maintain normalcy with your wife." "I'm not a great actor," Tim confessed. "I won't touch her again. Who knows what she's caught from all those men," Tim declared. Tell her you're not feeling well, Ruby suggested. That should buy you some time. Tim agreed with a nod. Yeah, okay, he replied. Thanks. Leaving Ruby's office, he felt somewhat relieved but still queasy. In his car, Tim realized he couldn't continue working for Jake or being around the men who betrayed him. He found the number he needed in his contacts and dialed it, hoping for the best. Carlson, the voice answered. John, it's Tim Burns, Tim said. Tim, how are you, my friend? John asked. Not great, Tim admitted. Listen, is that position at Empire still available? John Carlson had long sought to recruit Tim, but Tim's loyalty to Jake had kept him from considering it. Now, that loyalty was gone. Absolutely, John confirmed. Are you finally joining an established company? Something like that, Tim replied. I've realized I can't stay at my current job. I'm sorry to hear that, John sympathized. Can I help? Just give me a job, Tim requested. I'll work as hard for you as I did for Jake. Done, John agreed. How about starting on Monday? Perfect, Tim accepted. Great. Why don't you and your wife join us for dinner tonight? Rose will make her famous lasagna, and we can discuss your compensation package, John proposed. I'd love to, but I can't bring candy, Tim declined. Oh? John inquired. What's wrong? I'd rather not discuss it over the phone, Tim said. But I can explain more tonight. Of course, John understood, sounding concerned. Rose is a counselor. Maybe she can help. That sounds good, Tim acknowledged. I'll let Rose know. Can you come by at 6:30? John asked. Absolutely, Tim confirmed. 6:30 it is. Thanks, buddy. My pleasure, John replied. Feeling a weight lifted, Tim drove home. Not finding Candy there, he entered, showered, changed, and penned his resignation letter. Candy arrived around 5 p.m., noticing Tim at his computer. She leaned in for a kiss, but he turned and she landed on his cheek. Is everything okay? She asked, surprised. Not really, Tim admitted. I'm not feeling well. Maybe it's jet lag. I'll sleep on the futon tonight. Sleeping out? She queried. Where are you going? I have dinner plans, Tim answered. Are you meeting someone? She asked, sounding concerned. Are you accusing me of cheating? Tim countered. No, I've never cheated on you, and I never will. Can you say the same? She recoiled in horror, doubting if he knew. He couldn't possibly know, she reassured herself. No, I can't, she replied. Tim remained unconvinced. So, how was your trip to California? She asked, attempting to change the subject. Successful, he replied. And how did your gig at Jake's house go? It went smoothly, she responded. Even though it was challenging, it was still enjoyable. I can imagine, he remarked, his voice devoid of emotion. Glancing at his watch, he decided it was time to leave. I should get going, he informed her, saving his work and shutting down his computer. Standing up, he walked past her without a word and entered the master bedroom to change into something less casual. Upon returning, Candy was seated on the couch. How long will you be out? She inquired. I'm not sure, he replied. Don't wait up for me. Goodbye. Grabbing his keys, he exited the house. She couldn't help but notice that he didn't kiss her or say he loved her as he always did when leaving. After seeing his car depart, she picked up the house phone and dialed Jake, unaware that their conversation was being recorded. Jake, I think he suspects something, she confided. What makes you think that? Jake queried. He wouldn't touch me at all, she explained. He always gives me a kiss and says he loves me, but not today. He seemed distant and just left, mentioning a dinner appointment. Really? Jake responded. Did he mention with whom? No, he didn't, she admitted. Jake, what if he knows? What if he plans to leave me? Then so be it, Jake scoffed. You can always stay with us. And as for Timmy boy, I'll keep him busy enough that he won't be home much. But I don't want to lose him, Candy lamented. I love him. Yeah, your actions over the past couple of days really show that, don't they? Jake retorted. That's not fair, Jake, she protested. I know what I did with you guys, and yes, I enjoyed it. But I still love him. I don't want to lose him. Sure, Jake dismissed her concern. Let him cool off. Eventually, he'll come around. And if he doesn't, well, we can handle that too. You're not going to hurt him, are you? She worried. Not explicitly, Jake assured her. We'll just need to make him see things our way, and you'll play a part in that. What? Candy was taken aback. That's right, Jake confirmed. When the time comes, you'll help us make him understand. Remember where your loyalty lies. And remember, I have videos that could cause quite a scandal if they were to surface. You wouldn't dare, Candy protested. Oh, I would, Jake asserted. I have footage from the camping trip and other compromising situations. You belong to me, so it's up to you to keep Timmy boy in line. Feeling trapped, Candy reluctantly agreed. Okay, Jake, she conceded, but please, don't hurt him. Jake smirked over the phone. Sure. He dismissed her concern, ending the call. Meanwhile, Tim arrived at the large 2-story home where John and Rose Carlson resided. He exited his car, bringing along the bottle of wine he had picked up on the way. John greeted him at the door, graciously accepting the wine. Come on in, Tim. John welcomed him with a smile. And thank you. It'll be put to good use tonight. Following John inside, Tim was introduced to Rose, who was waiting in the dining room with her lasagna. Tim, this is my wife, Rose, John introduced. Rose, meet Tim Burns, our new account representative. Tim shook Rose's hand as John opened the bottle of wine. Nice to meet you, Tim, Rose greeted him with a smile. Pleasure's mine, Mrs. Carlson, Tim replied. Please, call me Rose, she insisted. Mrs. Carlson sounds too formal. Seated at the table, Rose served up portions of lasagna while John poured the wine. Tim expressed his gratitude, acknowledging the delicious meal. This is the best lasagna I've ever had, he complimented. I'm pleased you enjoyed it, Rose remarked. It's one of my specialties. So, Tim, I don't mean to pry, but I'm curious why you left Jake so abruptly, John inquired. Did something happen? Tim nodded before elaborating. Yeah, something happened, he admitted. Please, Tim, share with us, Rose encouraged. Taking a moment to collect his thoughts, Tim recounted the events. That's tough, John sympathized. I can relate. I've been through something similar, though under different circumstances. What's your plan now, besides changing jobs? Rose asked. I've consulted a lawyer and I'm filing for divorce, Tim revealed. My attorney says it'll likely be an even split. Have you considered counseling? Rose suggested. It's beyond that point, Tim responded. I don't understand what's gotten into Candy. It's like she underwent a sudden transformation into someone I don't recognize. How are you coping with all of this? Rose inquired. Not very well, Tim confessed. My lawyer advises me to act normally around Candy, but it's challenging. I can't even bear to look at her. Perhaps counseling could help, she suggested. I might consider it, Tim acknowledged. John is right. Rose is the best in the field, John interjected. I believe she can assist you through this if you're open to it. Plus, it's covered in your benefits package. That's a positive, Tim chuckled. I'm serious, John assured him. Rose was invaluable to me during a tough time. I'm confident she can support you too. Addressing Rose, John asked, Can you fit him into your schedule? Absolutely, she confirmed. I propose an hour per week. How does that sound, Tim? After considering the offer, Tim agreed. All right, I'll give it a try, he agreed. John smiled, patting Tim on the shoulder. Good decision, he praised. I'll ensure you have the necessary time for counseling. Coordinate with Rose and let me know your arrangement. I will, Tim affirmed. Thank you. Now, if you don't mind, dear, Tim and I will adjourn to my office to discuss his new position, John announced. Of course, I don't mind, Rose replied with a smile. I'm excited to collaborate with you, Tim. Thank you, Tim expressed as he stood with John. They proceeded to John's home office, where he poured them each a snifter of brandy. Over the next 2 hours, they hashed out details of Tim's new role. By the end of the discussion, Tim felt empowered, as though he were reclaiming control of his life. After shaking hands with John, Tim returned home. It was around 10 p.m. when he pulled into his driveway, noticing the lights were still on. He hoped Candy was alone. Entering the apartment, he found Candy on the couch. How did your meeting go? She inquired. Very well, thank you, he replied. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to bed. Good night. Retreating to the second bedroom where his computer was, Tim began undressing. Are you sleeping in here now? Candy questioned from the doorway. Yes, Tim confirmed. I'm still not feeling well, so I'll sleep on the futon. Is that all right? Sure, I suppose, she responded. It's just that you've been away for 3 days, and I was hoping we could, spend some time together. I'm not feeling up to it tonight, Tim stated. In truth, the thought of physical closeness with her made him uncomfortable. Okay, she murmured softly. Maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure, he replied. We'll see. Nodding, she turned away, pondering whether he knew anything about her recent activities. The next day, Tim arose before Candy, prepared his resignation letter, and brewed a cup of coffee. Seeing Candy's purse on the kitchen counter, he grabbed the audio recorder, then downloaded the previous day's phone call. He left the apartment without saying goodbye or expressing affection to Candy. As he departed, Candy heard the door close and lay in bed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Upon arriving at the office, Tim kept to himself. After exchanging greetings with his secretary, he retreated to his office and shut the door. While packing his belongings, Jake entered the room. "What's this?" Jake queried. Tim reached into his briefcase and extracted 2 envelopes. "One contains the signed contract from California," he explained, "and the other holds my resignation, effective immediately. I expect a bonus for securing the California account and my final pay, including my remaining vacation time." "Resignation?" Jake exclaimed, taken aback. "Why are you leaving? I need you," Jake protested. "Seriously?" Tim retorted. "You honestly don't know why? You think I'm naive? I'm not. Frankly, certain revelations have surfaced, compelling me to resign. I've secured a position with another company. I'll be leaving here shortly, then heading to HR." "Wait, Tim, can't we discuss this?" Jake implored. Tim shook his head. "There's nothing to discuss, Jake," Tim asserted. "I'm done. Finished. I once considered you a friend, but you betrayed me and ruined my marriage. Find someone else to deceive." "So this is about that?" Jake probed. "Just so you know, your wife willingly engaged in closeness with me," Jake divulged. "We don't need to let that ruin your career. Just go with the flow for now. Let Candy explore her desires. When she's done, she'll return to you." "You're despicable, aren't you?" Tim accused. "You expect me to accept that? By the way, how long have you been involved with her?" "The first time was during the camping trip," Jake confessed. "On the second day, while you and others were skiing. She initiated it in your tent, claiming I was superior to you. Then she begged me to have lovemaking with her. Remember when you suddenly sent me away to handle something at the office? You wanted me out of the way to be with my wife?" Tim realized. "Yeah, so what?" Jake shrugged, but Tim wasn't done. "And hiring her as a waitress at your party was just another ploy to sleep with her, right?" "Correct. So what?" Jake reiterated. Tim halted the audio recording he had secretly initiated when Jake entered. "Thank you for your confession," Tim declared. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm finished packing. I'll head to HR and I'll be on my way." "Wait," Jake protested. "You can't use that recording." "We'll see," Tim remarked. "I'm leaving. Goodbye, Jake. Rotten hell." "Wait, you forgot something," Jake said, holding up a photo of Candy from Tim's desk. "I didn't forget," Tim replied. "I don't want it. If you and your son are so keen on her, she's all yours. I'm done with both of you. Goodbye." With that, he exited the office, leaving Jake bewildered. How did Tim discover what had happened between Candy, him, and his son? Jake pondered. "What do you mean he resigned?" Candy demanded when Jake called. "He handed me a signed contract and a resignation letter and left," Jake explained. "He knows, Candy. I don't know how, but he knows." "What did you tell him?" she inquired. "The truth," Jake admitted. "I told him about the first incident on the camping trip." "You fool," she scolded. "And?" Jake prompted. "So I told him everything," Jake admitted. "He even left the photo of you he had on his desk." "Great," she sighed, tears streaming down her face. "What now?" she asked. "Not my concern," Jake shrugged. "He's your husband. Handle it. Unless you want me to come over and enlighten him." "No," she refused. "You've done enough. Thank you. Stay out of it." "I'll handle it or not," Jake said dismissively. After that, he ended the call. Candy glanced at her phone, tears streaming down her face. She dreaded the thought of divorce, but she understood Tim's stance on her infidelity. Determined to salvage their marriage, she sank onto the couch, her head in her hands, sobbing over her actions. A few minutes later, Tim arrived home. Spotting Candy's car, he scanned for Jake's vehicle but found none. Carrying his box and briefcase, he entered. He noticed Candy on the couch but said nothing as he headed into his office. After locking the door, he checked for voice recordings, found one of Candy's conversation with Jake, and promptly forwarded it to his lawyer. "Hello, Tim," she greeted when he called. "I've just received your latest email. I'm filing your paperwork now." "Good," Tim responded. "When can they be served?" "If you'd like, I can arrange for them to be delivered late this afternoon," she offered. "Will that work?" "It will. Thanks," he acknowledged. After hanging up, he retrieved his .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol from the weapons safe, more as a precaution than intent. In the kitchen, he placed it on the table. "We need to talk," he stated, setting the pistol down for quick access. "Is that necessary?" she questioned, pointing at the weapon. "I hope not," he replied. "Just a precaution in case your lover decides to show up." "My lover?" she queried. "Don't play coy," he retorted sternly. "Sit down, we have things to discuss." Terrified, she obeyed, uncertain of her husband's intentions. "Firstly," Tim began, "someone will serve you with papers later today."
"Divorce papers?" Candy gasped. "Why? I don't want a divorce. I love you."
"Bull," Tim countered. "I know about you and Jake, his son, and others you've been with lately, so I filed for divorce due to infidelity."
"Infidelity?" she objected. "You have no proof."
Tim smirked, revealing an envelope containing time-stamped photos showing her with multiple men, including Jake. "I also have video and audio," Tim added. "Interested?" She shook her head, realizing it was futile. "Good," he said. "Given the circumstances, I've been more than fair. No support. Half the bank funds split, each keeps their retirement, and you keep your belongings. I've canceled your credit card and have a check for your share. Also, a restraining order mandates you stay 500 feet away from me, my home, and my workplace. You have until being served to pack."
"You're kicking me out?"
she whimpered, tears flowing. "Essentially," Tim confirmed.
"What if I contest?"
she ventured. Tim chuckled. "Not wise," he cautioned. "Think of the consequences if these photos surfaced. Think about your job."
"You wouldn't dare?"
she protested. "Want to bet?" Tim challenged. Candy hesitated before admitting defeat. "No," she conceded. "I can't risk it. I need my job." "Exactly," Tim affirmed. "Two more things."
"What?"
she asked, despondent. "You'll return your rings and drop my surname," he demanded. "You've become heartless," she accused, removing her rings. "You gave me cause," Tim responded. "I just want to know one thing. What changed? From a loving, faithful wife to this?" She glanced down before speaking. "It happened the second day of the camping trip," she recounted. "You were out on the boat and I was in the tent. Jake came by and saw me. I had undressed and was laying there trying to rest when Jake walked into the tent. He seemed embarrassed at first, seeing me undressed like that. We started talking, and then he exposed himself, and that was it. So some guy with a bigger one than mine drops his pants and you're on it like white on rice," Tim remarked. "And that's all it took for you to become a cheating fancy woman. How many times did you sleep with him on that trip?" "Twice," she admitted. "The first time when you were out water skiing and the second time when Jake sent you back to the office." Tim shook his head and gestured at the photos. "I see that none of your lovers used any protection," he observed. "Weren't you worried about getting pregnant or contracting something?" "I'm still on the pill," she defended. "That doesn't eliminate the risks," Tim pointed out. "You could still get pregnant or contract a disease. Was that what you were aiming for?" "Oh God, no," she insisted. Tim shook his head. "You know, in all the time we've been together, I've been hit on a lot by women who look much better than you," he confessed. "I turned them all down because I believed I had a loving and faithful wife at home whom I'd never betray. But you? You didn't even consider the consequences. You didn't care about my feelings. All you wanted was pleasure. I hope it was worth it to you. Now pack your things. I expect you gone once you're served." "Tim, please," she pleaded. "Can't we get some counseling, please? I'll never do it again. I promise. Can't you forgive me this time?" "I will never forgive you for what you've done," Tim declared, his expression harder than she had ever seen before. "From the moment Jake dropped his trousers, you willingly betrayed me, and I can never forgive that level of betrayal." "But don't you love me enough to work through this?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, right now, I can't even look at you," he admitted. "The sooner you're out of my life, the better. Now start packing. Whatever you leave behind will be disposed of." Sobbing, she stood up and went into the master bedroom to pack. Tim watched as Candy brought out bags full of items. She stopped once and looked at him. "Can you at least help me take these to my car?" she requested. "Nope," Tim refused. "You're on your own. And remember, anything left behind will be discarded or donated." She carried the bags to her car and returned for more, exhausted. "I can't fit anything else," she admitted. "Can I return for the rest later?" "No," Tim reiterated. "You won't be allowed back. Ask your parents to collect your belongings, or I can hold off disposal for a few days." "Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that," she acknowledged. "Oh my God. I just thought, what will I tell my parents?" "Try the truth for a change," Tim suggested. "Tell them you cheated on me with my boss and others, and I had to ask you to leave." "Seriously?" she questioned. "They'll disapprove regardless," Tim asserted. "But it'll be worse if you lie or sugarcoat it. You know how they feel about dishonesty." At that moment, a knock sounded at the door. "I believe that's for you," Tim remarked. Candy approached the door cautiously and found a sheriff's deputy standing there. "Are you Candace Burns?" he inquired. She affirmed, "Yes, that's me." "May I see some ID, please?" he requested. She retrieved her driver's license and presented it to him. After verifying it, he returned it to her and handed her an envelope. "You've been served, ma'am," he informed her. "Additionally, there's a restraining order mandating you to vacate the premises immediately. You can sign the divorce papers now if you wish." She nodded and retrieved the divorce documents. After reviewing them, she asked for a pen and signed them. "I'll deliver this to the attorney," he assured her. "You need to leave now. If you attempt to return, you'll be arrested. Do you understand?" "Yes," she replied, tears streaming down her face. She glanced back at Tim. "I'm deeply sorry," she apologized. "Yeah, me too," Tim responded. "Goodbye." "Goodbye," she whispered as she departed. The deputy nodded at Tim before departing. The following days were chaotic for Tim. Candy made no attempts to contact him, but Jake left 2 threatening voicemails on the house phone. "Damn it, Tim, I know you're there," he yelled. "If you don't drop this lawsuit, I'm coming to kick your ass." Tim smirked, saved the voicemail, and forwarded it to Ruby, who notified the local sheriff's department. Candy's parents also called, asking if they could retrieve more of her belongings. "Sure, just make sure she's not with you. There's a restraining order against her," Tim informed them. "Okay, George," Candy's father sighed. When George and Candy's mother arrived, they collected her remaining items and urged Tim to reconsider the divorce. "Tim, she made a mistake. Can't you forgive her and take her back?" "She loves you," Candy's mother pleaded. "What did she tell you, Bernice?" Tim inquired. "She admitted to messing up with your boss," Bernice replied. "And that's all?" Tim pressed. "Yes, she didn't go into details and we didn't pry," Bernice explained. Tim retrieved the envelope containing the photos and SD cards and showed them to Bernice and George. They were appalled by what they saw. "I had no idea it was this bad. I'm sorry, Tim. I don't blame you," Bernice expressed. George's anger was evident. "I'm going to have a serious talk with our daughter," he vowed. "Have you done anything else with these photos?" he asked Tim. Tim shook his head. "Not yet, but I warned her not to contest the divorce," he disclosed. They sympathized with him before finishing packing Candy's belongings. 30 minutes later, they bid Tim farewell with a warm hug and departed. Later that day, as Tim watched TV, another knock sounded at the door. Glancing through the peephole, he saw Jake, Mike, and 2 former colleagues. He retrieved his pistol from the weapon case, called emergency, and held the weapon behind his back. Barely opening the door before they barged in, he confronted them with the firearm. "We're going to smack you up," Jake threatened. Tim pointed the weapon at Jake, causing them to pause. "You really want to test me?" Tim challenged. "Just so you know, I've already called emergency, and the police are on their way. If you're here when they arrive, you'll be arrested for violating the restraining order," Tim warned. "Jake, he's serious," one of the men cautioned. Jake hesitated, then turned to Tim. Suddenly, they heard a siren nearby and saw flashing red and blue lights. "Yes, Jake, I mean it," Tim affirmed. As they turned to depart, 2 imposing uniformed police officers appeared at the door. Tim lowered his pistol. "Please, sir, put the weapon down," one officer instructed. Tim complied, placing the pistol on the kitchen counter. "Sir, these individuals are violating a restraining order," Tim explained. "They forcibly entered my apartment and issued threats. I request their arrest." "Do you have a copy of the order?" inquired the other officer. Tim nodded. "Yes, officer, I do," he replied, retrieving an envelope from the counter and handing it to the officer, who carefully examined the document. After a brief inspection, the officer returned the order to Tim and turned to the 4 men. "Turn around, hands behind your back," the officer ordered. The men glared at Tim as the officers handcuffed them and read them their rights. Once restrained, one officer addressed Tim. "Do you possess a license for that firearm?" he inquired. "Yes, I do," Tim confirmed. "Would you like to see it?" He then displayed his wallet, revealing the firearm license card and his NRA firearms training card. The officer nodded after inspecting the cards. "All right," he acknowledged. "Just be cautious with that weapon, understand?" "I understand, officer. Thank you," Tim acknowledged. The following 3 months passed swiftly for Tim. He found greater satisfaction working at Empire than he ever did under Jake's management. Weekly counseling sessions with Rose aided him in managing his trust and anger issues. Simultaneously, he joined a gym, exercising 3 days a week. Additionally, he enrolled in martial arts classes, primarily for mental discipline. Furthermore, he undertook a diet and exercise course recommended by Rose. The divorce proceeded smoothly, especially as Candy did not contest it. However, the alienation of affection lawsuits encountered some complications. While 2 of them were dismissed as Ruby had warned, the case against Jake took an unexpected turn. After reviewing evidence and financial disclosures, the judge ruled in Tim's favor, ordering Jake to pay $1 million in restitution. The judge expressed strong disapproval of Jake's actions. "Mr. Hudson, your conduct in this matter is utterly reprehensible," the judge admonished. "Not only did you exploit a man who considered you a friend, but you also mistreated your authority as his employer to deliberately ruin his marriage and family. Moreover, you repeatedly violated the restraining order against you. Therefore, I rule in favor of the plaintiff and order you to pay restitution in the amount of $1 million. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular," Jake's lawyer interjected. "Mr. Winthrop, this court finds Mr. Hudson's behavior not only irregular but absolutely despicable. The order stands," the judge affirmed. "When must this restitution be paid?" Winthrop inquired. "Immediately," the judge declared. "Unless, of course, your client prefers spending time in jail for contempt." "No, Your Honor, my client will comply with the order," Winthrop conceded. "Very well," the judge concluded. "And may God help you if this check bounces. Case closed." With a gavel strike, the hearing concluded. Jake wrote a check, which his attorney passed to the bailiff. After the judge acknowledged the check, it passed to Ruby, who then handed it to Tim. To Tim's surprise, the check cleared the bank and he compensated Ruby her portion of the judgment. While employed at Empire, Tim was approached by several of Jake's clients. Word of the lawsuit had spread, and numerous businesses were hesitant to engage with someone who actively sought to wreck another man's marriage. They viewed such behavior as indicative of a lack of trustworthiness. Tim speculated that at the current rate, Jake would likely be out of business within a year. Throughout this period, Tim declined to date, despite being approached by several pleasant women at work. He considered himself married until the final decree was granted. Only then would he entertain the idea of pursuing a relationship. Upon receiving the final decree, Tim celebrated with colleagues, including a lap dance from a generously endowed stripper. A couple of months after the divorce was finalized, Candy's mother called Tim.
"Tim, it's Bernice. Can we talk for a few minutes?" she asked.
"Of course, Bernice," he responded. "What's on your mind?"
"It's about Candy," she revealed. "She's tested positive for HIV.
"I'm sorry to hear that, Bernice," Tim sympathized. "But honestly, I'm not surprised. Besides, we're officially divorced now, so there's little I can do. She's not covered by my insurance, and I'm not responsible for her."
"I understand," Bernice acknowledged. "I was hoping you could spare a few minutes to talk to her."
"I suppose I can, though I'm unsure of its benefit," he conceded.
"Thank you so much," Bernice expressed her gratitude.
Tim drove to Bernice and George's residence and was taken aback by Candy's gaunt appearance. She approached him, but he gestured for her to remain seated. With a heavy heart, she complied, inviting him to sit on the couch.
"You're looking well, Tim," she remarked.
"Better than I remembered.
"How have things been for you?"
"Things have been good, Candy," he replied. "New job, new friends, and a fresh perspective on life. How about you?"
"Not great at all," she confessed. "You know about my HIV status?"
"That's what your mother informed me," he confirmed.
"I'm sorry to hear that, but frankly, I'm not surprised. Do you know when you contracted it?" he inquired. "I believe it was during one of my encounters at Jake's," she admitted. "I engaged in unprotected lovemaking with multiple partners that day."
"Does Jake know?" Tim questioned. She shook her head.
"Not yet," she admitted. "But I'll have to inform him so he can get tested. I doubt he'll take it well."
"No, probably not," Tim agreed.
"Listen, Tim, I want to apologize to you one last time. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me for what I've done to you. I now realize the devastation my actions caused. I could have declined at any point, but I didn't. I was foolish and selfish, allowing my desires to override my better judgment, and now I'm facing the consequences. You were the best husband and lover I could have asked for, and I squandered it all for a fleeting pleasure. I know you despise me, and you have every right to, but I don't want to depart this world without your forgiveness." Tim pondered her words carefully. It was the first time she took ownership of her actions and acknowledged their impact on others. Though he could continue holding a grudge, he remembered his sessions with Rose. Grudges wouldn't help him move forward. With a nod, he responded. "All right, Candy," he said. "I forgive you." She burst into tears as she sat in her chair. Tim contemplated embracing her, but decided against it when she waved him away. "Thank you so much, Tim," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "That means more to me than you know. Listen, I want you to find a woman you can love and trust, marry her and have children with her. I'm done. I'm finished. But you have your whole life ahead of you and you deserve to be happy. Thank you, he replied. I'll do that. And if you ever want to just talk, let me know, okay? She nodded, wiping away her tears. I will, Tim, she assured him. Thank you for coming over and talking with me. I've missed you so much these last few months. I've missed the woman I married, Tim said calmly. How are things with Jake and Mike, by the way? She shook her head. Not good, she admitted. He's gotten very abusive lately. He didn't take losing to you in court very well. You probably know his business has taken quite a hit lately. I've noticed, Tim acknowledged. Has he hurt you physically? Not yet, but he's very volatile, she replied. Do you want me to be with you when you tell him about your diagnosis? Tim offered. No, but thanks for asking anyway, she declined. This is my responsibility and I need to handle it. You know, I keep thinking that if I had just told him to leave that first day at the camping trip, we'd still be together. That's quite possible, Tim conceded. But I have a feeling it would have happened at some point anyway. He'd been after you for quite a while. I think you're right, she agreed. Listen, I'm getting really tired, and I need to rest before I go back. Thank you for coming over. It really does mean more to me than you know. You're welcome, Candy, he said. And remember, call me if you just want to talk or something, okay? She weakly nodded. I will, she promised. Goodbye, Tim, she added. Think of me every once in a while, okay? He sensed a hint of finality in her words and wondered if she was contemplating self-destruction. I will, he assured her. Just don't do anything foolish, okay? She managed to smile. I won't, she assured him. As he stood and headed for the door, Bernice approached him. Thank you, Tim, she said, embracing him. This means more to her than you know. And to me as well. You're welcome, Bernice, he replied. Keep an eye on her, okay? I will, Bernice promised. A couple of weeks later, Tim was seated on his couch having dinner and watching the evening news when a report caught his attention. The bodies of a local businessman, his son, and a woman believed to be the man's lover were found earlier today in what police believe was a double homicide and self-destruction, the anchors reported. Jacob Hudson, president and founder of Hudson Consulting, along with his son and an unidentified woman, were discovered dead. All three suffered weapon shot wounds. Police are investigating the incident, and further details will be provided as they become available. After overcoming his initial shock, Tim phoned Bernice. She answered the call in tears. Bernice, what's happening? He inquired. We just learned that Candy is dead, she replied. It appears that Jake shot her, then his own son and himself. Oh my God, Tim exclaimed. I saw a report on the news and was hoping it wasn't her. I'm so sorry. It's her, Bernice confirmed. Do the police have any idea why it happened? Tim inquired. They're not entirely certain, she explained. But I believe she told Jake about her HIV diagnosis, and he snapped. Autopsies are underway. I'm truly sorry, Bernice, Tim expressed. I want you to know I never wished for this. I understand, Tim, she responded. Candy made her own choices and faced the consequences. Nonetheless, losing an only child is devastating. I take comfort in thinking she's in a better place now. Well, if there's anything I can do, please let me know, he offered. Thank you, Tim, she acknowledged. Candy's memorial service occurred a couple of weeks later, and Tim took time off to support her parents. According to the autopsies, both Jake and Mike were HIV positive, like Candy. Based on police findings, Candy disclosed her diagnosis to Jake, suggesting they get tested. Upon discovering they were also positive, Jake fatally shot her, then his son, and ultimately himself. Tim mourned Candy's pass away for a few days, reminiscing about their happier times together. Then, unexpectedly, Cynthia Stone, another colleague, visited him. Hey, cowboy, she greeted. Want to join us for happy hour tonight? You seem like you could use some company. Tim hesitated briefly, almost declining, but reconsidered. What the heck? He responded. I could use some good company right now. Sure, count me in. Great, then meet us at the hitching post after work, okay? She suggested, smiling. I'll be there, he confirmed. Thanks for the invitation. As she walked away, he contemplated the cycle of life. Then he heard a familiar female voice in his mind. Go for it, big boy. She's into you, the voice suggested, surprising him. He scanned the surroundings but found no one. A shiver ran down his spine momentarily. No, he thought to himself. That can't be possible. Or can it?